We have a threat of rain today. Marvin Lewis brings his first place team in here. 11th year in the NFL as a head coach. Doug Marrone in his first year was the head man at Syracuse. Before that, he was with Sean Payton down in New Orleans with the Saints. We've had the flip of the coin. The Bills won. They have deferred, and so Brandon Tate, a former third-round pick by New England, signed a couple years ago by the Bengals, is back to get it for Cincinnati. And to kick off is the one-time kicker for the Miami Dolphins, Dan Carpenter, who's had a good year with field goals, 11 and 12, and he is ready to boot it away. Rain in the forecast, minimal wind so far. It's the Bills, it's the Bengals, and away we go. It'll be a touchback to the 20. Which takes us to the quarterback, Andy Dalton. 65% is what he's completing things right now through his first red zone interception last week. Solomon, you talked to him last night, and you feel pretty confident that he is confident.
I think it's just the ebb and flow of a young quarterback who's continuing to grow, and we're seeing that before our very eyes. Today, he has to rely on the running game and then not try to force the ball into A.J. Green and allow the offense to work around him.
Then Jarvis Green-Ellis was in the backfield on 1st and 10, and there is the aforementioned A.J. Green. He is hit on the play by Denoris Searcy. It is a gain of 8. They'll put him at the 28-yard line. Here is the line. 2 terrific tackles with the Pro Bowler Whitworth on the left and Andre Smith, who is an emerging star at the right side. There you see A.J. Green just got that pass. Ben Jarvis Green-Ellis will be counted out a lot. And the rookie Tyler Eifert has been a nice story early in this season for Cincinnati. And now a 2nd down and 2. And Green-Ellis, Eifert with the block, Bowling with the block. The tackle was made by Kiki Alonso. It's a gain of 6. He bulldozes his way to the 34 for a first. Terrific line with Williams, and Darius. Mario Williams, one of the top sackers with 7 so far. Everybody talking about the rookie Alonso. He has been wonderful so far. 4 interceptions, one of the top marks in the NFL. You see the secondary. Jarvis Byrd is active. He will start and he will play, they say, quite a bit. 1st and 10. The end around. Marvin Jones. Look at the quarterback out to block along with the left tackle Whitworth. And a great move inside. And then he is brought down by the aforementioned Jarvis Byrd. And end around, good for 35 to the 21-yard line of Buffalo.
Just great play calling, Boomer. Watch the defense. Everyone's getting here, but then they come back around. The pursuit of the Buffalo Bills defense was so indicated on stopping the run, going to the right side, that they were not prepared for this reverse action. So they really just played against the over-aggressive nature of the Bills defense.
Well, it's Mike Pettin. He's the defensive coordinator. Came from Rex Ryan, and that's exactly what it's all about. It's all about penetration, and it's all about pursuit. You use that against them, which is exactly what the Bengals did right there.
With a couple tight ends on 1st and 10, the scrambling quarterback Andy Dalton out of TCU, chased out of bounds by his former teammate Manny Lawson, now playing as a linebacker here in Buffalo. He scrams right there for 6, and he's down to about the 28.
And all morning long, we've been talking about Andy Dalton, and I talk about taking ownership of your team. And remember a couple of years ago, Joe Flacco was, he got angry because every time they lost, it was about Joe Flacco. And then finally he said, hey guys, I'm a pretty good player. But I think that's kind of where Andy Dalton is right now, and he's feeling a little bit of that. I thought that he's pressed the last couple games, and I like the way they started this game very aggressively. Jay Gruden doing a good job getting him an early completion.
The pistol is in, as is Bernard. Ooh, man, that was tight. They're looking for Jones. The coverage on the play by Aaron Williams playing the corner. He usually is at safety.
Well, Boomer, you certainly had no problems taking ownership of the team. And I know that's what you're asking for Andy Dalton. This pass here to Marvin Jones got to be more back shoulder more than out in front. And his ability to anticipate the routes being run by his wide receivers, I think, is another area where he can take the next step.
Buffalo has 6 in the secondary, 3rd down and 6.
You take a look at this defense now that Mike Pettin puts out there. There's guys standing up, moving around. I mean, it's like a Monday morning commute at Grand Central Station out there trying to figure out who's blitzing and who's not.
Dalton, that was broken up beautifully. They were going for Jones, and the veteran Leotis McKelvin broke up the play for the Bills secondary.
And you know what that is? That's really good defensive preparation on the part of the Buffalo Bills. McKelvin knows that when the blitz comes, there's going to be a slant pattern on the outside and beats the receiver to the point where the ball was.
It's a three-step drop when you're blitzing. That means it's going to be a hot route. The ball comes out quick so you can jump those routes. They don't have enough time for a double move.
Mike Nugent will try a 46-yard field goal for the Bengals. 6 of 7 so far this year. Again, no win to speak of. 3-0 Cincinnati. With the big play and end around of 35 yards by wide receiver Marvin Jones on the opening drive, led by Dalton. 12-14 in the first. The game-opening drive, 7 plays, 52 yards, just under 3 minutes, and Nugent, guy right there, just knocked in a 46-yard field goal. Marquise Goodwin is back, the rookie out of Texas. Very fast. He was an Olympian, and here is a kick which is going to go short, and so they're going to bring it down right there, and it goes to a defensive lineman, and that is Jay Ross out of East Carolina. They want to keep it away from Goodwin.
I'd much rather have him have the ball than Goodwin, I can tell you that.
Oh, he's had a lot of wings, and there is Thad Lewis. He played at Duke where he set records. David Cutcliffe was his coach. He was undrafted from St. Louis to Cleveland, Detroit. They made the trade, and here he is starting his second career start.
This is not going to be easy for the Buffalo Bills, but certainly he's a little bit more accomplished than Jeff Toole is.
It's Jackson, and he keeps the feet moving. Brought down by Pecco, up to the 35 on a pickup of 8 on the play. The line for the Buffalo Bills. They make a change at the left guard. Doug Legursky has been injured, had a knee injury in the final preseason game, gets the start today. They need him. That has been a concern. Woods is the rookie. Jackson and Spiller will get a lot of carries, and here's Jackson on second and a couple. He is stacked up and taken down with no breathing space. Brought down by Carlos Dunlap. It is a loss of 2 on the play. The defense, Dunlap right there. Atkins is an all-pro player. Michael Johnson is back after going through a concussion a couple weeks ago. Perfect. He's a second-year player and undrafted, leads the NFL in tackles. This is the secondary. They welcome back Leon Hall, who missed last week with a hamstring issue. It's 3rd down and 4 with the ball at the 33. Choice in the backfield, going deep, and they've got T.J. Graham. He takes it inside the 25. He's working on Aloka along with Adam Jones. The catch by T.J. Graham, good for 47 to the 20.
Boomer, Kevin, what did we say one of our keys to the game? They felt like their receivers can beat the Bengals cornerbacks and press man-to-man coverage. Here they are taking a shot on 3rd down. Going up top to T.J. Graham. He beats Adam Jones. And what a throw by Thad Lewis.
And how about how excited Thad Lewis is? You talk about butterflies starting a football game. I'm sure he had them, but that will subside now that he makes this big completion.
That's the longest play by a Bill player this season. 1st and 10, the fake the choice. High gets away and on the move, and feet first the slide to the 16-yard line. It's a gain of 4. Perfect was there to bring him down. Listen to the crowd in Buffalo.
There's a flag down. This crowd is starting to erupt.
I think maybe it's Ed Hockley and his crew in charge here. I think the discussion is, was it a late hit? Because he went feet first, and that means don't touch the quarterback when he's down.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 55. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
You know, it's interesting, Solomon, because you said in the pregame that the Buffalo Bill wide receivers should be able to exploit some of the coverage situations that they're going to find themselves in. And when you play aggressive man-to-man coverage, obviously the easiest thing you could do is find that matchup and then exploit it. And that's exactly what Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, has done thus far.
It's 1st and goal. Choice. Working down the sideline, working by Reggie Nelson. He picks up 5 on the play, ushered out by Pecco and by Adam Jones. A gain of 5. They'll spot him at the 1.
And if you allow the young quarterback, Thad Lewis, to get hot against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, you can see the Bengals defense have not allowed an opening drive touchdown the last 21 games, and yet you get a quarterback starting his 2nd game of his career knocking on the door for points against this Bengals defense.
Goodwin is a receiver. Jackson in the backfield. 2nd and goal at the 3, and that is a touchdown plunge by the quarterback, Thad Lewis. How about that?
How about that is right. Could you start the game any better with a young quarterback than the way that the Buffalo Bills have started this game with Thad Lewis? And, this is a direct call. This is a quarterback draw. There's no question about it. He's not looking downfield at all. It's just a matter of getting the right blocking up front, which he does. He sees the hole and dives for the goal line. A great way to start this game for Thad Lewis.
When we talked to Thad Lewis, everything that you could come away with was the fact that this kid is poised, and he will not come in here with that deer in the headlights look where he would be overwhelmed or intimidated.
The big play, a 47-yard pass to the wide receiver Graham. And then the quarterback Lewis in for 6.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Chili's $20 dinner for 2. And by Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Now the quarterback, Thad Lewis, who graduated in 3 years from Duke, which says a lot, has his first career rushing touchdown on his first drive with Buffalo. And the ensuing kickoff. And Tate will bring it out of North Carolina. And a nice tackle on the play made by one of their reserve wide receivers, Marcus Easley. It is a 21-yard return.
This place could get out of control pretty quickly. I forgot how loud it was here. They play that song Shout.
Oh, man.
After they score a touchdown here. many, I would say nightmares in this stadium, but what a great fan base they have here. The place is sold out and they're rocking.
This team gets rolling. They'll sell it out. And the Bengals know that as well as anyone.
Yeah.
They have lost 10 consecutive games to the Buffalo Bills since that 88 championship game. And they did beat the Bills last year to break that 10-game losing streak.
Giovanni Bernard. To block, then he is run out of bounds across the way by Stephen Gilmore, active with the big club on that left wrist. The operation weeks ago, and there you see him. It's a pickup of 3. Put him at the 20.
Well, I think I'd try to find out where Gilmore is and throw the ball his way.
Yeah, he's not going to intercept.
He's not going to make an interception, is he? Unless he catches it with his right hand.
Well, there's two things, though. Both teams want to come in wanting to run the football. I think it's going to be vitally important. Whoever can dominate at the line of scrimmage and manufacture rushing yards goes a long way into helping them to control the tempo of this game.
On 2nd down and 7, Bernard outraces Alonso, upended by Leonis McKelvin on the near side, but a catch and run for a first down to the 35 and a pickup of 15 yards.
And Sally, you and I were talking about Giovanni Bernard, how he has to become the Darren Sproles for the Cincinnati Bengals and what he has done for the New Orleans Saints. And you could just see how many different ways you could use him and how effective he is, especially when he gets outside.
He wins the matchup advantage no matter who's covering him, and his ability to be a chain mover, create first downs, as we saw right there. He was covered by Kiko Alonso, who couldn't keep up with him.
He's had a lot of explosive plays as well. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis is in. False start, Cincinnati.
Offense, number 84. 5-yard penalty, it's first down.
The thing about going on the road in the NFL, you got to be very careful, especially when you got a crowd that's all into it, like the way the Buffalo Bill crowd is right now. And Andy Dalton tried a hard count right there.
Yeah.
And these players, they're playing against a very good defensive line that the Buffalo Bills throw out there. So these offensive linemen tend to get a little twitchy.
You can't go hard count, particularly with the crowd noise.
Right.
Allow your guys up front to just fire off and come off the ball. Don't have them guessing, right, Bo?
Right. I'm surprised they're not going silent count from underneath the center, but I'm sure they'll do that here now in the shotgun.
Timeout. Dalton. On the 1st and 15, they take a break. We'll step aside as well. 8:19 in the first with the Bills on top. Well, folks, it's much more than pink on the field. Together, the NFL and the American Cancer Society are helping women across the country make a crucial catch. Here are the personal impact stories and find out how each of you can help finish the fight against breast cancer at NFL.com/pink. Friday night, the Bills hosted the 8th annual Believe event for breast cancer awareness in Niagara Falls. The event included an international Pinktober living ribbon. Bills players, and there were a lot of them, and their families joined in and even helped light the Falls pink. A beautiful sight,
wow.
A wonderful cause. And again, spearheaded by the National Football League. After the timeout for Cincinnati, Sanu was getting the direct snap on the 1st and 15. You can see the avalanche of blue with Williams, and they have also Hughes jumping in. There was no gain on the play. They stay at the 30.
And what does Mike Benton do, the defensive coordinator for the Bills? He's going to stack the line of scrimmage. He's going to blitz the run game, and that means Andy Dalton's got to check out of some of these looks, Boom. They're getting single high coverage. He's got to take some shots with his guys on the outside in the passing
Well, again,
game.
I don't know whether or not he has the ability to do that in this offense. That's the one question that I would have. Do you trust Andy Dalton to change those plays at the line of scrimmage?
And Jarvis Green-Ellis is in, 2nd and 15 outside. Jones blocking ahead from the left tackle Whitworth, and off to the races he goes. His second big play today on the run, brought down by Denoris Searcy. The run down to the 31. He picks up on the play 40 yards.
Boomer, you said there are other guys in this offense that can make plays. Now watch the block by left tackle Andrew Whitworth down the field. And Marvin Jones is one of those players who can make plays, Boomer. You talked about it, but the blocking down the field by big Andrew Whitworth is simply phenomenal. That's an athlete who can move with 300 plus
Well, there
pounds.
was a guy that used to man that spot a few
There
years
you
ago,
go.
number 78.
It's 1st and 10. Across the middle they go. That's the 2-time Pro Bowl tight end, Jermaine Gresham. Searcy was there. Pick up a 4 down to the 24-yard line.
And we always talk about distribution from a quarterback standpoint. Like now, Peyton Manning in Denver, you take a look at the numbers. Look how they're spread around through his total, his wide receiver core, his running back core, and of course, Julius Thomas at the tight end. And that's exactly where this Bengal team has got to get to. The nice thing, the way that they've started this game, is other people other than A.J. Green are having an impact on this offense now.
Into the nickels, 2nd down and 6. Bernard is back there with Dalton. Eifert is on the move. The block by Andre Smith. Incomplete, looking for Gresham, and there he is, Jarvis Bird. He's missed the first 5 games because of plantar fasciitis. He was going for a new contract in the offseason. It never happened. He starts today.
Jarvis Bird said that Dalton is a rhythm passer. You can see he was in rhythm with Andy Dalton, able to break on that ball and able to knock it down. Came over the back of the receiver without drawing the penalty flag.
You say, is that a good play by the defensive back, or is that a play that Jermaine Gresham should have made?
I think the ball should have been placed. If we're talking ball placement, you get it a little lower, it makes for an easier catch, and I think more difficult for the defender to knock it down.
It's 3rd and 6 for Andy Dalton. He's got to get to the 18. Alonzo's got him, but the dive may have acquired the first down for the 3rd-year quarterback. Dalton on a 3rd and 6. Looked like he lunged and just got enough to move the chain.
How about this, Boom? Some athleticism. We've already seen Thad Lewis run and make plays with his legs, but you like Dalton's ability to extend the chains and hit the marker?
Of course I do, and he should do a little bit more of this, but you got to be careful when you get downfield. But when you can make a first down in this situation, in this part of the field, and give your team another set of downs, that is a tremendous play by Andy Dalton.
Jamal Westerman has come in on the defensive line for Buffalo. 8th play of the drive, 1st and 10. Dalton, and to the end zone. What a catch by Green! That is a Cincinnati touchdown. Holy Toledo, 18-yard grab by number 18.
This is what you want to see from Andy Dalton. You get 8 in the box. You get single coverage on the outside to A.J. Green. Take your shot. Look, there's no help there. That's just great ball placement on that throw by Dalton.
Well, the tighter you get to the goal line, the less likelihood will be a safety over the top, and that's exactly why. You have a 5'10" Leotis McKelvin going against a 6'4" A.J. Green. That's exactly what you want. That's the kind of matchup you want, and this is where you do want to throw him the football down here.
Green with his 4th touchdown reception of the season. The story in Cincinnati has been perhaps the lack of big yards and numerous touchdown receptions that he has been missing this year. Nugent tacks on 1 more, and Cincinnati goes on top. Fireworks in Western New York, an 18-yard touchdown pass caught by the acrobatic A.J. Green.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walmart. Get to Walmart and the October savings event going on right now. And by Ford. Only Ford gives you EcoBoost fuel economy and a whole lot more.
wide receiver, there's A.J. Green and the quarterback Dalton. But Marvin Jones has been the story so far. Marvin Jones has had an end-around run of 35 yards, a catch and run on that last drive of 40.
You know, and what I like about it most is that they're getting other people involved, with the exception of A.J. Green. And then A.J. Green obviously comes up with the big catch in the end zone.
Marquise Goodwin, he was a track star in the 2012 Olympics in London. He's missed the last 4 games with a hand injury, a 25-yard return. The Bills, you know, are going to lean on their 2 running backs, Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller. That tandem next on CBS. Buffalo Bills are 2-1 at home. They had a first drive that had a big play to T.J. Graham, their wide receiver, part of a 3-yard touchdown run by the quarterback.
And Lewis was phenomenal. Went 2 for 2 on the drive for 52 yards. And then called his own number in and around the goal line. Using his legs to split the defense, was able to get into the end zone. They scored on their first possession of the game. And I think that lends a lot in terms of the momentum against a really good defense.
Well, and now what happens is Andy Dalton goes out. He goes on the field. He goes right down the field for a touchdown. Now it's up to Thad Lewis to do it again. And, you know, these are the lulls in games that you got to be careful of with a young quarterback, because these are the battles that are going to continue to happen all game long.
Spiller is in, but it goes to the Olympian Goodwin. And forced out of bounds by the former NFL Defensive Player of the Year, the ex-Steeler, James Harrison, and a loss of a yard in the play. And they'll put him back to the 22.
I don't know about you, Solly, but James Harrison looks weird in the Cincinnati Bengals uniform. I still have not come to grips with that yet.
But you'd rather have him on your side than play against him, right?
Well, as long as he's playing well, yeah, of course.
Well, he made a play there. That
Yes.
was really well played. He slow played it, stayed outside, and contained the football.
I'm just intimidated looking at him.
Adam Jones comes in as a 5th defensive back. And a little spurt out here on 2nd down and 11. Is the running back C.J. Spiller. He is out of Clemson, a former #1 pick. He has a burst of 10 to the 32.
Now, you talk to all the Bengals defensive players. They say, don't let him get outside. Now, look, that's where you got to stay outside if you're Mike Johnson there. And he's still able to get around him because he went peeking inside, the speed of C.J. Spiller. You cannot allow him to get to the perimeter of the defense.
Jackson in, 3rd down and 1. Now the quarterback takes it himself. We're going to see some of this read option all day from this kid to the 34, gain of 2, and he moves the chains right there.
And why not? Why not just keep it simple? And this is exactly what Thad Lewis does here. It's a 3rd and 1, so it's pretty easy. He knows where to go. And you know, we talked about C.J. Spiller. How about him? He shows up last Thursday against Cleveland. Really wasn't expected to play.
Oh, no.
But he goes out there and he plays. And I think he's like the epitome of what this Buffalo team is all about now.
Spiller's back in, 1st and 10, Lewis. Bobbled, drops. That's by T.J. Graham. He was out of North Carolina State. Had the coverage on the near side by Adam Jones. 2nd down.
Well, that's a throw. You got to catch that.
Yeah, you got to catch that one. And then he bobbled it and almost gave Adam Jones a chance to intercept it. I want to pick up on what you talked about. That run by C.J. Spiller against Cleveland, 50-plus yards on a bum ankle, inspired his teammates. They clawed their way back into that game, and it's something that your teammates notice.
Here's Spiller on 2nd down and 10. Running outside, Adam Jones is on his trail. Out of bounds he goes at the 43, picking up 9. And he says the one thing, you can see him hobbling right there, the one thing he can't do as well is cut, obviously.
I don't know what he's doing here. He's cutting right here, isn't he?
He's cutting. And good thing for Adam Jones, he's got a bum ankle. Because I can tell you right now, he was just a hair away from getting around Adam Jones and setting sail for another long run for a touchdown. One heck of a yards per carry average, best in team history.
It is indeed 4.0 and over 64. A run by Jackson on 3rd and 1. Bursting up the middle. A couple guys bring him down. Basically just tripped on his own. It's a gain of 12 to the 46-yard line.
Well, you could see that the Cincinnati Bengals had a run blitz call, but it was to the wrong side of the offensive formation, and Jackson calmly just runs right through the line of scrimmage. I love what the Bills are doing right now. No huddle, right to the line of scrimmage, trying to up-tempo this game with the young quarterback.
7th play of the drive. Now they're trying to get a block there from Wood. There's a defensive play by Burfict. Jackson had the ball. There is no gain on the play. It remains at the 46-yard line.
Oh, Burfict is a tough and physical player. He was engaged to a blocker while trying to make the tackle. That's not easy.
Foul, face mask, defense, number 55. 15 yards from the dead ball spot, 1st down.
We got a lot of tough physical players out here. We may also have the toughest, most physical referee.
Ed Hockley, right? No doubt. And these kind of penalties, something the Bengals have to avoid. And Vontaze Burfict, we talked about it. He was known for those kind of plays in college, something he has separated himself from, but he wants to still be a physical player, but be a smart one as well.
Right to Spiller on 1st and 10, a direct snap and a gain of 2. And in the middle there, they had Brandon Thompson, a second, third-round pick out of Clemson last year. Spiller tried to knife his way in.
You know, Kevin, you and I did the Monday night game between the Jets and the Atlanta Falcons, and I see a lot of similarities here with Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, doing with Thad Lewis what Marty Morningwig, the offensive coordinator, was doing with Geno Smith.
2nd down, 8. Look at Spiller making this. Adam Jones chases him out of bounds. The gain to the 21. It's close to a first down. It's a pickup of 7 on the play. This is a high-rushing Buffalo team.
And it should be. They have 2 young quarterbacks, E.J. Manuel, the first-round draft choice, who's not here because of a sprained knee, but also now with a second-year or third-year player, however you want to describe Thad Lewis. The fact of the matter is that they're not well-versed in the passing game just yet. So when you have running backs like Jackson and Spiller, these are the guys that you need to use. But you're seeing a lot of different formations, a lot of different types of groupings from the personnel, and they're running the ball effectively and short passing it as well.
Choice is in. He gets the call. 3rd and 1. Submarines right by the grasp of Wallace Gilberry. He's down to the 19, picks up 3. Solomon, that's the 3rd and 1 on this Buffalo drive.
You know, we talked to Doug Marrone, their head coach of the Buffalo Bills. He talked about the way you use running backs in terms of committee of backs and having guys that can have a diverse role. And what Fred Jackson brings to the table, great inside runner. We've seen C.J. Spiller get outside. Tashard Choice, he's a little bit of both.
11th play of the drive. Trying to work his way in is Tashard Choice. Gilberry was in there along with Devin Still. It is a gain of 4, and as Boomer has said, there is no wide receiver Stevie Johnson. So Marquise Goodwin, who is a young player, a rookie out of Texas, taking his place, is the 3rd wide receiver today.
You know what this is right now, guys? It's an efficient offense. It's moving forward. There's really no 3rd and longs. It's all 3rd and shorts, and they're converting and keeping the ball moving.
Choice again, 2nd and 6. Busting free. He got a great block downfield from the aforementioned rookie receiver Goodwin. He picks up 13, works his way to the 2, 1st and goal Buffalo.
This is what the Buffalo Bills do. Take a look at how they run. They come right at you, come right downhill, and they will bloody your nose in the running game. This is a team that in week 4 had over 200 yards rushing against the Baltimore Ravens defense. Went for over $150 against the Cleveland Browns' tough and rugged defense. And right now they're gashing the Cincinnati Bengals.
Jackson is in, 1st and goal. Summers the fullback. Jackson, Summers the block. Corkscrews near the 1. An extra offensive lineman in there too, Thomas Welch, building the bulk on the line. It's a gain of a yard.
I think you always have to be careful here. I would imagine that the Bills will take the quarter and go down the other end of the field, but you know, you got to be worried about Thad Lewis and the bootlegs.
That's right.
Down here, and if you're going to sell out, if you're a defensive lineman and you got the responsibility for outside containment, you better make sure you're aware of that.
Anytime Thad Lewis drops back, probably prone to keep it more than he is to pass it in and around the goal line.
What a terrific first quarter. A beauty in Buffalo so far, with the Bengals up by 3 on CBS. We begin the second quarter with the Buffalo Bills, 2nd and goal at the 1. You can see the drive, 5 different players. They've had a rush.
Well, 11 runs and 2 passes on this particular drive, and I think that Nathaniel Hackett, their offensive coordinator, is really doing a good job for this young man, Thaddeus Lewis, not putting him in a tough situation and allowing these running backs and this big behemoth offensive line to take over this game. If I'm the Cincinnati Bengals from a defensive standpoint, I'm concerned right now. I am very concerned.
Jackson in the backfield. Smith, the tight end, on the move. We're following the lead block of Frank Summers, who's at 5'9", but he's a load and no gain on the play, and a stop there by Harrison.
It's their 12th run play of the drive, and certainly you got to know that sooner or later play action pass comes along, play action bootleg, so you got to be stout at the point of attack. This is a very good defense for the Cincinnati Bengals, and Doug Marrone is a very creative play caller. Look for something up his sleeve on this play.
Extra lineman, 66 Welch. 3rd and goal at the 1. Jackson is in. Jackson the call. Airborne and short. Inside the one, perfect among others, right in there. Vincent Ray, a good goal line defender, 57 there as well.
And here we go for Doug Marrone now. A very interesting decision, and obviously it looks to me like he's going to go for it. He's caught up in the emotion of the game. We saw Mike Smith go for it against the Jets, the Atlanta head coach, and we also saw Mark Trestman do it against the Giants, and neither one of those guys made it. This is a big decision right here for the Buffalo Bills.
Bengals defense need to hold their water because they can't jump off sides here.
4th and goal at the 1 on the 16th play of the drive. The quarterback Lewis chased, and Harrison brings him down at the 2, loss of a yard, and on downs. It goes back to the Bengals with a terrific goal line stand.
This is the 3rd home coach that has decided to go for it on 4th and goal and not make it, and gives the momentum back to the visiting team.
We're back in Buffalo. Fantasy football fans, check out CBSSports.com Player Challenge, a new 4-week game with a cash prize in every league. See rules and sign up at CBSSports.com/challenge. With the goal line stand for the defense, the offense now takes over with a 1st and 10 from the 2. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis into a pile. Not much there. What a marvelous goal line stand by the Bengals.
Let's go back and take a look at the play, because this is an offensive tackle at tight end. Thomas Welsh, he comes out, the fullback sneaks out, they cover it, and then watch, they just go and get the quarterback, and that's going to be 92 James Harrison. You know, he's a good read and reaction.
I like that play on 1st or 2nd down, not on 4th and goal.
No.
Because I'm not throwing it to a backup tackle or a fullback. I'm just not doing it. I spend all day long or all week long coming up with these plays. And Nathaniel Hackett has done a good job thus far today.
Got to do better than that.
You got to do better than that. You got to come up with something more creative than that.
Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, past the 10, brought down by Alonzo at the 12 on a gain of 7.
I remember those offensive tackles when they go in there, they report as the off tight end, and they used to say, "You're going to throw me the ball, right? You're going to throw me the ball." It's like, the only way I'm throwing you the ball, number 1, is if your name's Anthony Munoz.
That's right.
Because you're a better athlete than everybody on the team. Or number 2, there is nobody standing around you. So when you miss it, they don't have a chance to pick it off because of a tip drill.
And I remember Anthony catching plenty of those.
Yeah.
Alex Smith, the tight end in the backfield with Ben Jarvis. It is 3rd and 1. Green Ellis brought down by Kyle Williams, the 2-time Pro Bowler, a gain of 3, up to the 14-yard line, and a 1st down. Some breathing space, albeit a little bit, for Cincinnati.
But for the Cincinnati Bengals, this is okay, because they're good when they get the ball and begin their possession inside the 10-yard line. They've had 11 possessions of such variety so far in the year, and they've scored on 10 of them. 4 touchdowns and 1 field goal. So Marvin Lewis talked about this, that this offense is used to going on long drives. He said they need more explosive plays, but it's okay. They can go on time-consuming drives and eat clock.
Searcy is in for Bird in the secondary for the Buffalo Bills. Don't 1st and 10.
And now you can see that he is audibling. He's reading the defense right here and changing the play.
Bernard. He's slippery.
Actually, what he was doing there, he was reading the defensive front and the secondary.
Yeah.
And then he was deciding which way he wanted to run the football. They call that a check with me in the huddle.
Check with me at the line of scrimmage. He saw there was 2 high safeties, a 7-man front. What are you going to do, Boom? You're going to run the ball.
Yeah, you're going to run it on 1st and 2nd down, and you'll run it. The only thing about the Bengal offense that I'm not crazy about, I just think it's way too methodical.
Yeah.
They have too many good athletes and a good offensive line. I believe that they should be a much more up-tempo team.
Bird is in. The nickel secondary, 2nd down and 9. We've had 4 consecutive runs so far by Cincinnati until right now. A.J. Green, blockers ahead, including Sanu, including Whitworth, and there he goes, galloping with the chase and a knock out of bounds right there by the safety, Searcy. Oh, the strides of A.J. Green. He gallops for 55 to the 30.
Did you see Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle, number 77? 2 blocks on this solid.
Yes, and I love the block by Sanu. And you're right, 77. Look at him. Look at the big man rumble. Trying to find someone in the blue jersey to lay a hat on. It was great blocking.
It was. He actually knocked down Jim Leonard and then went out there and got somebody else, and now he's exhausted.
Yeah, he's got him.
But, unlike a receiver who could take himself off the field, the offensive tackle can't do that.
And he's coming off off-season surgery, too. He missed a little bit of first game. 1st down and 10, Giovanni Bernard. Oh, nice patience right there, waiting for the block to materialize from Bowling. And the game takes him to the 29 and a pickup of 3.
You know, we're so good, we're going to show you. He gets the highlight because he picks up 2 guys. So he gets his own replay. Look at the big tackle.
That's
Boom!
one arm,
Took one out. This is going to be on every highlight reel throughout the week with that kind of blocking down. That gets you to a Pro Bowl, Boom.
It does, and well, he's been there a few times, but you know, it also looked like Kevin Harlan last night trying to give us the check. You're taking a check.
Take it. That Heisman stiff arm.
I was still stuck with it. I still had it. 2nd and 7. They go to Tate, who's knocked out of bounds by McKelvin on a gain of 6 at the 22. The first reception this season for Brandon Tate out of North Carolina.
All right, Marvin Lewis was talking about getting more explosive plays. We saw it on the bubble screen over to A.J. Green. They're getting more people involved, Boom, and that's why the offense is clicking.
5 receivers thus far today for Andy Green, and that's exactly what you want. You want to spread the wealth around, keeps the morale up, keeps everybody happy, and everybody seems to be with a little bit of an extra step now that they know that they have a possibility of getting the football.
Branch and Bryant on the defensive line. It's Bernard on 3rd down and 1, right into the teeth of that defense, and a gain of 2 down to the 20, and that is enough for a first down, so they move the chains on a drive which began back at the 2 for Marvin Lewis's offense after their defense had a goal line stand on Buffalo.
How big of a swing is it, Boom, for Marvin Lewis's defense to have a goal line stand? They get the ball inside their own 5-yard line, and now they're the ones on the march to score a touchdown.
Well, I told you, I saw that last week for the Atlanta Falcons, did it with the Jets. They were unable to convert, and then the Bears did it to the Giants. And to me, I always say, take the points, the game is close. I believe that the Bills should have kicked the field goal.
It's 1st and 10 for Dalton. Shuffle pass. Bernard makes 1 miss. He gets by Alonzo. Look at him take it in. Weaving for 6. What a play by the rookie Giovanni Bernard. A 20-yard swerving touchdown reception, and Cincinnati extends their lead.
This kid is as charming in person as he is electric on the football field. Watch some of the moves you see here. Boom, we haven't seen this since James Brooks. His ability to make unblocked defenders miss. There's 1, there's 2, and Kiko Alonso can play. There's 3.
Look at that.
And then the 4th guy, nice straight arm and just a wicked stiff leg as well.
Oh, not for nothing, Solly. I just try to find that kid everywhere I possibly could, because he'd make my job that much easier. And a good job by Andy Dalton navigating the pocket, locating Bernard, and flipping him the football.
Nugent 17-7 Cincinnati.
Wow.
8.5 to play in the 2nd quarter. A.J. Green got this baby off with a 55-yard run down the sideline. And then the rookie, Bernard, a 20-yard touchdown reception, broken tackles, and to the house for the Bengals. Andy Dalton with 2 touchdown passes here in the first half in Buffalo. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, and special guest Bart Scott. All the latest NFL scores, news, and highlights. That's coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report from our CBS studios in New York. You used to be in there.
Yeah, look at Marino. Looks so lonely right now. And I know exactly that Marino was saying the same thing that I was on that 4th and goal attempt by the Buffalo Bills on offense. If you're going to call the play, or come up with a play that's going to be a little bit more creative.
Yes.
You got 2 outstanding running backs that are making guys miss. Maybe spread them out. Or if you're going to pack them in like that, you got to put a real tight end out there, and maybe one of those backs in the backfield that can get to the flat quicker than a fullback and a backup lineman.
Yeah, Pat Lewis didn't even have confidence to throw the ball in that situation with that personnel grouping.
Right.
Marquise Goodwin. And hit and brought down by a couple, including Pierman on the special teams, as Pierman is bottom of the pile. 23-yard return. So let's see how the Bills respond. They've looked good offensively. They had a goal line stand stopped before. Kevin Harlan, Boomer Esiason, Solomon Wilcots, and that was a pretty good-looking drive orchestrated by Andy Dalton.
It really was. You know, he's under a lot of pressure in Cincinnati. The last 2 games have not been great, but thus far 8 of 11, 167 yards, 2 touchdown passes. The best part about all of this, 5 different guys have now touched the ball from a receiving standpoint, and as we see, Giovanni Bernard is just unbelievable how good he is in the open space getting that football.
Dalton on that last drive, 3 of 3, hit 3 different receivers. This is Spiller. Out there ahead was the guard, Urbic. leading the way. Perfect was there. Also a stop from Ray Mamaluga. It is a gain of 7. And they'll put the ball at the 29.
The Bills had a drive of 16 plays, 75 yards. Look, and not able to get any points from that. But I'm noticing a similarity between Giovanni Bernard and C.J. Spiller. No one's able to get a clean tackle on him. You slip 1 or 2 guys, and they've taken it to the house.
Spiller is in. He was in the Pro Bowl a season ago, over 1,000 yards on the ground. Second down and 3 from the 29. Wood looking to block somebody, but he didn't get his hat on Leon Hall, who comes up from the secondary, and he allows a gain of 2 to the 31.
You know, I go back to, again, that fourth down and goal, and the decision by Doug Marrone to go for, the touchdown there. And I get, you're in your home building. The entire stadium wants you to go for it. But you also have to remember, you don't have Jim Kelly playing quarterback for you. So you have to take points when points are available, especially when you're kind of grinding it through with a young quarterback like Thad Lewis.
4 in the secondary. Lewis on 3rd and 1. He finds his open receiver. That's the rookie out of USC, Robert Woods. That's a gain of 3. It's good enough for a first down to the 34.
And Thad Lewis is using his mobility. They're getting him out on the perimeter of the defense and just creating some pass opportunities, ones he can complete. I like when talking to Thad Lewis, he says, playing quarterback's not that hard, Boom. He said 90%
really?
of it is mental, 10% physical. But he's a smart kid from Duke, and I think he's going with his strengths, with his football intelligence.
Choice on 1st and 10, brought down by George Iloka out of Boise State. It is a gain of 4 to the 38-yard line. And let's talk about this quarterback, Thad Lewis.
Well, so far so good. And I think that he has far exceeded expectations, at least that I had for him early in this football game. I would imagine that he had major butterflies. He's been able to run and make a few good plays. This was a called quarterback draw down in the goal line. He lowers his shoulders, gets the touchdown. But he actually should have 10 points on the board right now.
Spiller in, 2nd down and 6. This is C.J. Spiller. Little one-on-one right there with Leon Hall. Shoved out of bounds, 41-yard line, gain of 2 on the play.
Can't say enough about the job Leon Hall did right there, keeping C.J. Spiller from busting out and hitting the first down marker. He understood his leverage, understood how to use the sideline to squeeze the ball carrier out of bounds. That was just good footwork defensively by Leon Hall. That's how you tackle and play good defense on the back end.
Jam. Hey, Bacon.
5 defensive backs for Cincinnati. 3rd down, short 4 for Lewis. Pierce had a block. Juggled and reeled on in that time by Graham. Flag is down, gain to the 45, and that would be enough for a first down on a gain of 4.
What is this flag? Could this be hit on a defenseless player? He's bobbling the ball.
I think this might be offensive pass interference.
Yeah, maybe he had to push off to get separation.
Well, who knows? It also could be defensive illegal contact. You never know. These are the penalties over the last 10 years that have really changed the dynamic of the game.
The gray hairs, that gray area.
One of the great side stories.
The pass was complete. Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness defense. Number 55. Helmet contact. 15-yard penalty. First down.
That's the second penalty on Perfect in this first half.
The second one of the 15-yard variety, giving a huge gain and momentum to the Buffalo Bills. Let's watch this. Okay, he's going to come in, deliver a strike. Now, you got to be able to play football. I'm not so. That's what I thought they had called it. I just did not agree that was in any way, shape, or form anything illegally done by Vontaze Burfict. You got to be able to play physical, and I don't think that hit in and of itself is in any way injuring a player.
Jackson 1st and 10, wrapped up by Carlos Dunlap. Finds room to the 37 on a gain of 3.
I didn't see the crown of the helmet hit the side of the head of the wide receiver. What I saw was maybe the face mask glance up against the helmet of the wide receiver. And these are the safety rules that we have to live by now.
Can I say one thing? That was also the area where the ball was. And defenders are taught, strike where the ball is, because they're trying to dislodge the receiver from the ball. And if you hit there 4 times and not, the ball's going to come out.
2nd and 7. He gets by Dunlap. He gets by Still. He shows his own weaving ability down to about the 32-yard line. And the quarterback out of Duke picks up 5 right there.
If you didn't know who Thad Lewis was before today, I think after moves like this on Carlos Dunlap and then another move like that on Stills, you're going to come to know this kid. He's a smart-headed player. He was schooled by David Cutcliffe at Duke. And Cutcliffe coached Eli Manning at Ole Miss and Peyton Manning at Tennessee.
He did indeed. 3rd and 2, ninth play of the drive. By the way, Gilbury is out right now with a forearm injury. That's why you're seeing more time from Thompson and Still on that defensive line. On 3rd and 2, through the hands of the receiver Chris Hogan out of Monmouth. Incomplete. Perfect was there. Newman was there. There's congestion, but a catchable ball.
Well, a catchable ball nonetheless, but it really should be thrown a little bit lower. These wide receivers, you know, they want that ball in their chest. They don't want to be extending like this going towards the middle of that defense. But I think, you know, if you are the Buffalo Bills, what you're getting from Thad Lewis is good enough to be able to win a football game, at least right now.
Well, here comes Carpenter. It's a 51-yard field goal try, and he puts 3 more on the board for the Buffalo Bills. He had a shot against Cleveland of 52 a couple weeks ago, a 51-yarder right there, and the ex-Dolphin brings the Bills to within 7, 4:14 remaining in the second quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Samsung Smart TV. TV has never been better. And by State Farm. It pays to double check. Talk to your agent today.
Now the leaves are turning here in Western New York. It is absolutely beautiful. Start your Monday night with a great new hour of comedy, How I Met Your Mother and Two Broke Girls at its new time, followed by a special Big Bang Theory. That's tomorrow beginning at 8, 7 Central. Only CBS. Tate a yard deep after the 51-yard Buffalo field goal. They'll take it up and then rams his way to Jamal Westerman, and it's a return of about 27 yards right there.
Maybe you and Sully want to go on a fall foliage tour tomorrow.
Yeah, we could do that.
Only if you drive.
I'm hanging out with Andy Dalton in this Cincinnati Bengals offense, who's been lights out in the first half. Marvin Jones has racked up 76 yards total offense in the first half of this ball game. And how about the 54-yard hookup to A.J. Green for their first touchdown of the game, and a 20-yard catch and run by Gio Bernard. And right showing us he's got plenty of game.
That was the 5th time this season that the Cincinnati Bengals offense has gone over 90 yards and scored a touchdown.
Into the nickel, Green Ellis on first down and 10. And brought down from behind by Manny Lawson. That's a gain of 8, taking it to the 35-yard line.
You know, Sully, we came in here thinking, okay, we have 2 pretty good defenses here. We got Mike Pettin, right? We got Mike Zimmer. We got 2 really good defensive coordinators. We have Jay Gruden going against Mike Pettin. Now, we haven't had a punt yet in this game.
Isn't that something? And that tells you Jay Gruden has made some adjustments to what he's doing offensively, and his offense is now taking their game to another level.
You see Andy's trying to read the defense right now, trying to call pass protection if he has a play on, and I think that's exactly what it is right here.
It's second down and 2. Green Ellis the first down, and he finds room into the next level. And brought down from behind with a good-looking stop by Searcy. It is a gain of 25. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis to the 40-yard line.
Okay, here's the 8th defender in the box. And Green Ellis sees it. He starts here, but then he goes back weak side. They don't have a secondary defender to stop him once he cuts it back. Boom, watch this. This is just phenomenal read and reaction by Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis.
You know, and what Andy Dalton was seeing, he saw that Jim Leonard was back. The safety was back deep. Therefore, he decided to run it. He ran it left, but as you said, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis saw it and reacted to it.
This is Sanu, Eifert with the block. And he's hit on the side by Aaron Williams, who's playing some corner, as we mentioned before. He's normally a safety. Little stop there, too, by Hughes. Gain of 9, close to a first down at the 30.
Take a look at Williams. Williams' helmet's come off right here, and
look at Sanu. I mean, this is a receiver taking it to a defensive back. Marvin Lewis, I'll tell you, Mike Zimmer, these guys are playing physical, and that's what the Bengals want. They want a more physical team. As you take a look at Aaron Williams trying to get a big, talented receiver like Mohamed Sanu on the ground.
This has got a good-looking mohawk. First and 10.
It's all about the hair, Kev.
Always has been. Here comes Bernard. And hit up the middle by Bradham. A gain of 3, and he's down to the 27. It's the 2-minute warning. Bengals on top. Dalton with 2 touchdown passes. 1 to A.J. Green of 18. Right now in New York, they're putting together the Verizon halftime report. JB Dan Marino and special guest Bart Scott. Scores, news, and highlights all next in the Verizon halftime report. Kevin Harlan, Solomon Wilcox, and Boomer Esiason here at the 2-minute warning in a very exciting first half on a 2nd and 7. The fake to Green Ellis. It's Dalton off balance, and for Eifert. Whoa. Good try, incomplete, and the coverage on the play by Nikel Roby, a rookie out of USC. Let's step back here, guys, just a second. Coming in, it was the number 8 defense of the Bengals against the inexperienced Thad Lewis. We've seen also some fireworks on Cincinnati's offense after they've been taking some shots from the critics.
We've seen Andy Dalton answer his critics by moving this offense. You know, they came in only averaging 18 points a game. You believe they have much greater talent and should be producing at a higher level.
Buffalo's going to take time out right here as they're a little bit confused on their substitution package, but there is no question in my mind when I see what I saw here in the first half from this offense of the Cincinnati Bengals, and you're a Cincinnati Bengal fan, you got to be happy about it.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're seeing great balance. You're seeing different guys running the football effectively, whether it be Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, whether it be Giovanni Bernard, and then all of a sudden you also have guys now that are involved in the passing game. And I think what I saw on that last reception by Mohamed Sanu when he lowered his shoulder and ran into Williams, knocked his helmet off, I saw a guy that's trying to impress his offensive coordinator saying, get me involved too. And this is exactly what you want, and this is exactly what I think Andy Dalton needed, the kind of game that he's putting together thus far.
Bengals in a 3-way tie for first place in the North coming into today with Baltimore and Cleveland. Leading by a touchdown, 3rd down and 7, Bengals with 2 timeouts. Dalton. Intercepted! It's picked off on the play by Jim Leonard, who gets a block upfield from Searcy. Oh, what a play by the Buffalo defense!
Jim Leonard, he was with Mike Pettin with the New York Jets. He knows this defense well. We told you at the top, the Buffalo Bills defense came into this game leading the league with 9 interceptions. And you can see Leonard over to the left side of your screen. He breaks, and Dalton was looking that way the entire time. He was intended to throw the ball over to A.J. Green. There were enough Buffalo Bills who was there. You can see Dalton, his coordinator, Jay Gruden, saying, you cannot go there with the football.
Dalton with his 6th interception for Jim Leonard, his 3rd interception on 1st and 10. Oh, perfect, says, how do you do to Fred Jackson, drills him. And it's a loss of 3 back to the 42.
And Kevin, when we talk to Doug Marrone, when we talk to a lot of these Buffalo Bills, the one thing they did say about Andy Dalton is sometimes he predetermines where he wants to go with the football, Boom. And maybe that's one of those plays where Jay Gruden said, hey, you already knew you wanted to go to A.J. Green. You didn't read the defense.
2nd down, 13. Here they come. Pecco up the middle and down the quarterback goes on a sack right there. Back to the 49-yard line. A loss of 7 on the play.
Well, a couple things. Now, if you want a championship defense, this is what your defense has to do on the road.
Right.
They have to overcome the quarterback mistake, and they got to get on the field, and they got to move the opposing offense back. That's exactly what they're doing. But, you know, when I see what Andy Dalton did right there, I just see exactly what you just said. Predetermined. He was duped by Mike Pettin's defensive scheme. There's no reason to throw that football there. The other thing I like is that he was angry on the sideline.
3rd and 20. Nobody home. Chandler may have been the guy they were looking for, and also over there, as you see, is T.J. Graham.
This defense answered with a 3 and out.
That's exactly right. That's a championship defense. That's what you need. You pick your quarterback up, and now you give your quarterback a chance to come back on the field. I doubt they'll do much here with only 39 seconds to go and a half. But the fact of the matter is that's a mistake that Andy Dalton should make. He can't make. I think I probably jinxed him a little bit.
The crowd now cheering for Brian Moorman. He was signed this week, signed Sunday after punter Sean Powell was released. Longtime Bill, back again, the 37-year-old Moorman. He's a hang time and directional guy, and the hang time here exquisite. And the placement, oh my goodness, inside the 1. Oh, and they say it went right over the pylon. Right over the pylon. But boy, it's close, and let's see, there is a discussion on a 48-yarder, and there is a discussion.
What a way to come back, though, if you're Brian Moorman, though, huh?
It's like the perfect re-entry.
Sally and I were talking about, you can talk about the quarterbacks all you want.
On the field. Ruling on the field is that the ball the pylon is out of bounds in the end zone. By rule, that's a touchback.
Let's take a look and see if it did hit the pylon. I'm not so sure that it did.
The pylon is ruled to be out of bounds.
Oh,
No,
it was
there's
on the
movement.
outside. It was on the outside of the pylon. I think that ball had already hit out of bounds.
well, we are
No.
inside 2 minutes, so you can't
Out of bounds. It hit out of bounds first.
It hit out of bounds before it hit the pylon.
Right.
Good eye,
I mean, well, Solly, I was a quarterback.
Yeah,
so,
I know. But quarterbacks can do all things.
It clearly will be reviewed
Yep.
But
by
Solly,
upstairs.
Well, we were talking about,
We are reviewing the ruling on the field.
all right, we know the quarterbacks, we know the defense, we could see all that. We could see it as fans, we could see it as ex-players. What we don't really see is really what the punter can do for a team. And you see this ball is going to be placed on that 1-inch line. That's what the punter can do for a team. Waiting on Ed Hockley's call right here, the way the crowd reacted here and the way that Brian Moorman was reacting on the sideline. I think he talked to Ed Hockley, and Hockley said, yeah, we're going to put the ball back on the 1-yard line. And now if you're Andy Dalton, this is a great spot as a quarterback to go the hard count, to try to get the opposing team to jump offside and to kind of get out of the shadow of your end zone.
And look at Mormon.
Yeah.
He was brought back. Remember, they released the punter, Sean Powell, after they allowed 179 yards in punt returns to Cleveland 1 week ago in the Thursday night
The
game.
ball actually hit out of bounds before it hit the pylon. Therefore, the ball is dead at the half-yard line. First down.
You know, I've never seen a punter so beloved in my life. That's how bad the previous punter was.
But punters can be weapons, as you mentioned. As
Yes.
you take another look at it, his ball's going to hit the white chalk before it hits the pylon, and that's where they're going to mark it. Now, Boom, what do you do here with, what, 38 seconds
Well, you don't
left
do
in the
much.
half?
What you do here is you try to get this ball out first on a hard count, but then if you're Buffalo, remember, you got to use your timeouts here. You've got to be aggressive with your timeouts. They have 2 left.
He's got to make sure, too, that if he falls in the end zone, he's got to get that ball beyond the goal line, and it's out to the 3, so some breathing space on a gain of 2. The clock at 22 seconds. Each team with 2 timeouts and a timeout taken right here.
And right, that's exactly what Buffalo did. And remember, Buffalo already burned one of their timeouts on defense because they were disorganized and they were not ready for what the Bengals were throwing at them offensively. So if you're Doug Marrone, you got to make them snap the ball down here.
Absolutely. Make them run a play and make them be productive.
Still
But
gotta-
defensively, you got to come up with a stop.
And you put a guy right on the center. And, you know, whether it be, in this case, it's Kyle Cook, the center of the Bengals. Whether it would be Kazurski or Remington or whoever my center was, they hated this.
They hated to have a guy
because the
right
guys
over
are right on their nose,
You
man,
gotta
and they're
get
pushing it
punished.
back.
That's right. You saw that with Kyle Williams.
What was Andy Dalton doing there? He almost stepped in the end zone.
As long as he doesn't have the ball in the end zone. But you're right, he went back a little too far for my comfort level.
Oh, man, welcome to Bingledom. He got knocked back. Watch this. But his knee
had
never
not
hit.
gone. That's right. His knee hadn't went down. He can't allow himself to get knocked back into the end zone, right, Boom?
No, that's why those centers hate that.
Yeah.
And that's why the new rule on the extra point and the field goals,
Where you can't cover the
you
center.
can't kill those guys
That's
anymore
right.
inside like that. And those guys aren't centers. Those guys are like glorified tight ends that are the long snappers.
They're very small guys who are
Right.
long snappers and not as big as your average center on the offensive line. Here's a 3rd and 9 play. Now,
It's kind of interesting because
there's
Ed
no
Hockley
timeouts left now for Buffalo.
Well, Ed Hockley was talking to Doug Marrone. I got to believe that. I don't necessarily know that they spot the ball in the right spot, but again, you can never take any of this stuff for granted. Especially, if Greg Schiano were here coaching.
Now the clock will run. There you go.
The Cincinnati Bengals have not won a road game this year. They are 3-2 with their wins coming at home. Buffalo at home is 2-1. They're coming off a loss 10 days ago at Cleveland 37-24. We told you about the Bengals' terrific win over New England in the rain in Cincy last week, 13-6. And what an exciting first half it was, with Green having a catch and run of 55 and an 18-yard touchdown reception. Part of the halftime Bengals 17-10 lead over the Bills on CBS. The Bengal wide receivers today have been fabulous. 2 touchdown passes by Dalton. That's our score going to the second half. Diet Pepsi encourages fans to bid on paint gear to benefit the NFL's A Crucial Catch campaign. Show you're a fan enough by visiting NFL.com/auctions to bid for pink. Kevin Harlan, Boomer Esiason, Solomon Wilcots. Beautiful day in Buffalo, temperature-wise, great, fun game. Let's get first half thoughts.
It really has been a very good game. You know, the Bengals have 284 yards of total offense, guys, in the first half. Andy Dalton, with the exception of the mistake towards the end of the half where he throws the interception to Jim Leonard, I give him a B+. I thought he played really well, and I love what Giovanni Bernard brings to this offense. He's multidimensional, can make guys miss when he gets the ball out in space. The thing that would concern me a little bit right now for the Bengals is that their defense has been giving up some plays, although they were very stout at the end of the first half after that interception. The fact of the matter is they need to be better against the second-year player in Thad Lewis at quarterback.
Well, it's the Buffalo Bills' ability to run the football, whether it's Thad Lewis running it, whether it's C.J. Spiller or Fred Jackson. They're dominating when it's time for the Bills to crank it up and get the run game going. Almost 100 rushing yards for the Buffalo Bills in the first half of this ball game. You have to be encouraged, though, as you said. The Bengals scored on each of their first 3 possessions of the game, and I think Andy's got to get the second half going in the same similar fashion.
Balanced offense approach by the Cincinnati Bengals, over 100 yards rushing, about 170 yards passing for Andy Dalton. That key mistake at the end of the first half, but now the Bills are going to receive the ball here. They need to come up with a big series here to start this second half.
Returnable for Goodwin. And our second half is underway from Buffalo. And they grab him down low. Sean Williams, the rookie out of Georgia, was the one to get him after a 26-yard return. And let's take a look at the numbers, and through 30 minutes of football, here they are.
Let's take a look at it. The Bengals even more rushing yards because they're using those bubble screens, Boomer, to the wide receivers on the perimeter to manufacture rush yards. But when it comes time to crank it up, the Bills are getting everything going with the 86 rushing yards they've had. The one turnover by Andy Dalton, the defense saved him, was able to get off the field and pitch a 3-and-out.
Second NFL start for Thad Lewis. There's Spiller in the backfield, first down and 10 off the fingertips there at the lunging Woods, and the coverage by Adams incomplete, 2nd and 10.
And overall, I think that Thad Lewis actually has played a solid football game. I mean, they get a lot out of him, both running and throwing the football, and a couple times he's been victimized by some drops. And I do go back to that 4th and goal that Doug Marrone, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, elected to go for. I thought it was the wrong call. They should have taken the field goal there.
2nd and 10, Spiller. They're blocked by Chandler. He finds room to roam. And brought down on the play by Iloka in the secondary. It is a gallop of 19 yards. And he's at the 43.
There's the block right there on Reggie Nelson. He thinks he can detach and get outside, but the speed of C.J. Spiller is killing the Cincinnati Bengals. Much in the same way Gio Bernard is thrashing this Buffalo Bills defense. Their speed is at an entirely different level.
Spiller, the number 6 AFC rusher coming into today. Fred Jackson now gets the call. Pecco hit him first, and then getting in there Michael Johnson. Gain of 5. They'll put him at the 47.
You can see the first half possessions for the Buffalo Bills were able to score, go right down the field on their first possession of the ball game, and then turn it over on downs. I thought that's the critical possession you talked about, Boomer. 16 plays, 75 yards of going right through the Bengals, and then instead of kicking the field goal on 4th down, they go for it and unable to make it. And that could come back to haunt them as we get to the end of this ball game.
Think about how impressive that drive would have been had they taken the 3 points.
Yes.
And then the momentum would not have swung back in favor of the Bengals.
Wow, what a defensive play by Terrence Newman on a bullet designed for Robert Woods. This Newman something else. Today, his 160th consecutive game played, 158th consecutive start.
See, that was just great play. He came in front, he swatted, and you can make contact with the receiver. You just can't turn them as you're coming in, and they thought they can make plays on these cornerbacks on the perimeter. T. Newman has held up well.
On 3rd and 6, the second option, he needs the 47, knocked away on the play, knocked away by Dunlap, and retrieved at the 47, grabbed by Buffalo, grabbed by Chandler, gain of a yard to Burfict. Burfict got the ball, Chandler was trying to dig his way out of it and lost the ball.
And there you have it. There is the key mistake by Thad Lewis to start this second half. You can't have that. A little bit indecisive, trying to figure out whether or not he wanted to flip the ball to Jackson or take off and run with it. and you got to make your decisions quickly. You know, these defensive linemen are so active, and they're taught to strip the ball from the unsuspecting quarterback running with the football.
They're so athletic, are these Bengals defensive linemen. And, you know, Vontaze Burfict, he brings a certain physicality to this defense. And told you about the game they played last week against New England. Now they're making their presence felt here at Orchard Park.
Very good beginning field possession here for Dalton. On the screws, dropped by A.J. Green. Coverage on the play by Leonis McKelvey.
What is going on, man? We had a pretty good first half.
Well, you know, A.J. Green, we talk about how skilled he is. This is maybe one area where he can get better. He has a tendency, we saw it in week 1 against Chicago. There's been moments where clearly he should catch the football and he'll put it on the ground. Just maybe trying to do a little bit too much, trying to run with it before he's able to secure the ball.
Cincinnati coming into today 3-2. Three-way tie for first in the North. Buffalo Bills 2-3, yet 2-1 at home. Second down and 10. Green again. Hit again. This time McKelvin watches him slip away, and then he is knocked out that time by Jarris Berg. Gain of 2 near the 50.
Sorry, Kevin. We said that Andy Dalton needed to get this offense going in the second half. Look at the first half. They came out on fire, scoring on their first 3 possessions of the ball game. And then an interception, boom, can derail the momentum and continuity you tend to get going on offense.
Especially when you play against a defense like Mike Pettin draws up here for Buffalo. There's a lot of moving parts, and you got to make sure that you are not duped into throwing an interception like Andy was at the end of the first half.
Manny Lawson out for the game with a hamstring. He's a starting outside backer. Third down and 8. Sanu. Oh, what a terrific block on the side by Marvin Jones. He turned his guy in. He allows Sanu to go for 12. It is a first down to the Buffalo 39.
Take a look at this block down the field, and you remember we were talking about getting other players involved, and a lot of fans will say, why do you throw the ball short of the first down sticks? Well, you throw the ball where the defense takes you, and then the player that has the ball has to make the play with a little help from his teammates.
First and 10. Bernard. Somebody lost their hat. And you can see the subsequent tackle right there. Alonzo jumping on that one, bringing him down. Gain of 8 on the play. That was Kyle Williams, the Pro Bowler and one of the best in the business on defensive line play in the NFL.
You know, we talked to Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle, yesterday. He says, you know, we're built to run the football. Our offensive linemen, they got 3 guys from SEC schools and a couple of Big Ten linemen. They're big, they're fast, and they're strong.
Second down and 2. Green Ellis. Oh, good patience. Diving for the first down. Alonzo may have had a hand on him. That's a gain of 7 on the play. They'll put him at the 25.
You know, I don't know what the message was at halftime for the Buffalo Bills, but whatever it was, they weren't listening. They have come out here, and they're kind of sleepwalking now. You know, it's the big mistake by Thad Lewis, the fumble that gives the Bengals great field possession, and all of a sudden, this defense is kind of lulling to sleep here a little bit.
Yeah, and take a look at their ability to run it. In the middle of this defensive line for the Buffalo Bills, Kyle Williams out of LSU, Marcel Darius out of Alabama. These guys are big, strong, physical players. They're going at it on the trenches.
First and 10, Whitworth the block. Scrambling Dalton. Knocked away on the play. Bernard was there. Alonzo kind of got in the way. Kyle Williams has something to say to the rookie, and it's not pleasant.
Well, really, this is a hit on a defenseless player. Gio Bernard, he's a rookie. He's going to learn the NFL rules, but you can no longer get those peel-back blocks.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting, defense, number 95, 15 yards, first down.
Kyle Williams said, I'm taunting. I'm just telling the young kid. See, watch the hit he puts on Kiko Alonso right there. Maybe it was, he could have actually taken a much more difficult shot at him, but you can see Kyle Williams going and saying something to the rookie.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. And I know that they're trying to get this stuff out of the game.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I mean, that's a ridiculous penalty that is called right there. No business calling that penalty. And I don't know what Andy Dalton was doing on the previous play there, just trying to throw the ball to Bernard, who was coming back at him, trying to make a block.
Yeah.
Jay Ross has come in on the line. Kyle Williams, first and 10. Bernard finds a little bit of a gap and brought down by Alan Branch, 7 years out of Michigan. It's a gain of 2 to the 10.
Well, this is what I talked about, Boom. Let's see if Andy Dalton can bring his offense out in the second half the way they begin the first half. And you talked about him really being able to put his signature on this team, having that seminal moment where he begins to take control and take ownership of the team. Maybe we're seeing him do that today.
It's 2nd down and 8. The drive started at the 47 after a fumble by Thad Lewis of the Buffalo Bills.
Middle of the field is wide open.
Knocked away. Beautiful play that time. Turned in by Jerry Hughes, the former Colts. 3rd and 8.
I can see it from up here. The middle of the field is just totally over. Look at the 2 L's in Bills right there. And this is what, Peyton Manning will get up there. He'll see how the defense is aligned, and he'll call a play to get somebody right in the middle of that end zone. And Andy Dalton's smart enough to do that and see that, and not so sure that that's a part of their offense right now, but certainly I think if you really want to be effective down here in the red zone, you've got to have that as a part of your offense.
You can see the Bengals one of the best red zone offenses in the National Football League.
Kyle Williams back in. 3rd and 8. 9th play of the drive. Dalton to the end zone. It was caught. It's a touchdown. Grabbed by Marvin Jones. Got right in front of McKelvin. A 10-yard strike by Dalton. His 3rd touchdown pass today.
Are we sure that ball broke the plane?
I got to tell you, they're having a talk about it, but when you sort of challenge Andy Dalton at the beginning of our show, you said he needs to start making more plays like this, going elsewhere with the ball, the players like Marvin Jones, and not try to force it in to A.J. Green. We're seeing Andy using more of the weapons around him, and we're seeing the offense being more productive today, Boom.
Every scoring play reviewed. That's what's going on right now upstairs.
But I like the fact that Andy Dalton actually came down and led his team right to a touchdown. You want to be a championship team. You got to win games like this where you are clearly the better team, due in large part to the struggles on offense for the other team that you're playing against, in Buffalo in this case. And you can see right here that was a really good throw. Good job by Jones coming back down for Andy Dalton, and it is ruled a touchdown.
Well, his feet were inbounds. Absolutely, when he grabbed hold of the football.
Marvin Jones with his 2nd touchdown reception of the season. Tack on one more, and Cincinnati has gone up now 24-10. Dalton 3 touchdown passes, the first to Jones. Dalton with his 3rd touchdown pass, and Solomon, you were talking to him last night about the ebb and flow in a growth process for a quarterback.
Yeah, he said that, they're putting more on my plate, and I have to be able to do more. And we've seen him take 2 steps forwards and maybe a couple of steps back. He has not had a touchdown in back-to-back game in 7 of the last 9 contests. So his ability to be more consistent is what they're asking of him.
Goodwin out of the end zone and hit again. Nice special teams play by Sean Williams. 20-yard return. Andy Dalton, like in his game so far, he's built his Bengals to a 24-10 lead. Back in Buffalo, there is our score. Early 3rd tonight on 60 Minutes. A 15-year-old boy who may have come up with a cancer breakthrough. Plus, one of the great untold human rescue stories of the 20th century on 60 Minutes. Tonight, only CBS. Kevin Harlan, Boomer Esiason, Solomon Wilcots, and there is Marvin Jones. He's had a 35-yard end-around run, a 40-yard catch and run, and Solomon moments ago a 10-yard touchdown reception.
Well, he has been the guy that really has helped his offense to diversify in terms of their attack.
One outside with Spiller, perfect is there. He is everywhere. Also a hit by Michael Johnson. Loss of 2 on the play to the 15 to New York and James Brown.
This is what Ben likes to do. Yes, 3 plays, 64 yards on this drive. He likes to go up top. Emmanuel Sanders on an out and up, wide open. 55 yards for a touchdown, putting Pittsburgh up 16-10. All right, back to Kevin Harlan.
2nd and 12, going deep, and they just about had Goodwin. Coverage with Nelson and Adams. Adam Jones was back there.
I don't know how this was not called interference. It looked to me like Adam Jones grabbed Goodwin by the jersey as the ball was coming down.
It's called the arm bar. He grabbed that arm to keep him from extending to get the ball. Goodwin is a speedster, and I'm not so sure.
That's got to be interference.
The Bengals had a good book on him. They said they could attack the corners and press man-to-man coverage. It's clear that Adam Jones is the guy they're targeting. They've taken a couple of shots at him so far in the game.
Last time the Bills had it, fumble by the quarterback, and the touchdown pass by Cincinnati. The result, here he is again and hit this time on 3rd and 12, coming through Wallace Gilberry, who had a sack last week. In fact, 2 of them on Brady, has a sack right here. The third by the Bengals, a loss of 6. They're back to the 9.
Boy, they've got some pass rushers. Watch him come right underneath. They've got a host of pass rushers, whether it's Geno Atkins, whether it's Dunlop, Michael Johnson, Wallace Gilberry, a number of guys who can get after the quarterback on this defensive line.
Third sack of the season by Gilberry. Here's the Mormon punt, his second today for the Bills. Adam Jones circling under it, and from the 35. Danson losing his balance, and down he goes. And falling on him after a 10-yard return is Branham after a 56-yard Mormon punt. You see the flag has been thrown at the 9:41 mark here of the third quarter.
And you know, guys, think about how this second half has started for the Bills. You had a Thaddeus Lewis fumble that led to a Bengal touchdown. Then you had, on that touchdown drive, you had Kyle Williams get flagged for 15 yards. And then you just had a 3-and-out by the Buffalo offense.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team, number 82. It's a 10-yard penalty enforced from the spot of the foul. Cincinnati keeps the ball, first down.
That is Marvin Jones. Good day for the Bills. They've had a goal, rather for the Bengals defensively. Gilberry with the sack right there. Earlier in the game, a goal line stand. One of our storylines today for the Bengals, tied in first place in the North, was their offense. Struggling last 2 games, the big numbers they put in today.
Well, this is the type of offense you want. You want a balanced offense. You want to be able to run the football like this. The other thing that I'm really impressed with is the amount of receivers, 6 in fact, that Andy Dalton has distributed the ball to.
And Manny Lawson lost for the game with a hamstring. It's down in 10, Green Ellis. Good block in there that time by Zeitler. Tackle is made by Searcy. It's a gain of 5 to the 34, and NFL fans, share your story about why you love NFL football. Go to NFL.com/together we make football for official rules and a chance to win a trip to Super Bowl 48, which Boomer Esiason and I will do on the radio.
Well, you know, at the risk of sounding obvious, this Buffalo defense has got to come up with a play here. This game is completely getting away from them offensively. And this defense, with all these veterans and the new defensive coordinator, somewhere along the line, have got to make something happen here.
Bernard is in. 2nd and 5. Lonzo chasing, and banging him is McKelvin. And the catch and run with a good-looking gain to the 43 is good for a first down. He picks up 8.
And the Bengals, they've been able to sustain these drives because they're getting so much production on early downs. The first down run by Ben Jarvis Green Ellis set up that second down catch and toss over to Giovanni Bernard. So this offense is starting to produce on the early downs. Whenever you're 3rd and short for Andy Dalton, it makes it easy to convert those 3rd downs into first downs.
Couple tight ends, 4 in the secondary, 1st and 10.
A lot of communication going on there. Just telling the running back where he wants to go.
Bernard chased by Searcy. Knocked it out of bounds as well by Alonzo, who's all over the field. It is a loss of about a yard. He'll be back near the 42.
You know, guys, we were talking about Andy Dalton and having his moment and taking ownership of this team. And it's not an easy thing if you don't have the personality traits to want to just put yourself out there all the time. But you know, I saw something already happen today, and it was after he threw the interception at the end of the first half. He went over right to Jake Gruden and started screaming at him.
He fought back a little bit.
Oh, I love that. I just love that. I
know
used to
you
scream at
love
Sam
that.
all the time.
I was a witness of some of those.
Sam Weiss liked it as well. 2nd down and 11. Eifert to the 48. Hit by Bird, and a gain of 10 and very close to a first down.
And take a look at this as we take a look at Andy Dalton, and thus far today, throwing the ball down the field. Great catch by A.J. Green, one-on-one against McKelvin. He negotiated the pocket, flipped the ball to Giovanni Bernard. Bernard makes the play right there. He's having a good day today.
It's 3rd and 1.
So you like the fact, you think he does have the personality to begin to start to emerge and maybe become more of a presence for this team.
You know what I want him to be? Just like every other quarterback. And I'm not a Bengal fan, even though I played for the Bengals and everything. I try to be as objective as I possibly can. I want him to be the red rifle that he was in his rookie season.
Yes.
And everybody was just harping on how good he was. And he is a good player. There is no question about that. He's just got to get like that to the next level. Joe Flacco endured a lot of the slings and arrows that Andy's enduring right now.
Well, Bengals who just converted that third down, 6 of 9 on third down. Green Ellis in on the play by Hughes, gain of 3 to the 43.
I'm going to go and talk a little bit more about this Buffalo Bills defense. Boomer picked up where you left off. You said if they're going to stay in this game, they've got playmakers up and down this defense. You've got Mario Williams, Marcel Darius, high first-round picks, Kyle Williams along the defensive line. And we said they came in leading the league in interceptions, already won in this game. They've got to be expected to make a play and keep their young quarterback, Thad Lewis, in the ballgame.
Into the nickel, 2nd down and 7 for Dalton. Sanu, former college quarterback, right into the grasp across the way of Stephon Gilmore, who is a first-round pick last year out of South Carolina. 14-yard catch and run. That is a first down to the 29.
And take a look at Stephon Gilmore right here. He's playing with a broken wrist, a broken hand. I don't know how he makes tackles. And if I'm Jake Gruden, I just keep calling his number until he could stop it.
If I'm Mohamed Sanu, I attack the weak side arm. Don't run to the good arm. He ran out of bounds where he could really grab him with the one hand, attack the other one where he's got to club you, but he can't grab you.
We have no compassion as football players.
You're right. We attack the weak spots.
Right, exactly.
On a 1st and 10, Moats makes the stop on Green Ellis. Gain of 5 inside the 25. One thing you notice about this Cincinnati offense, not only today but throughout the season, long drives. That has kind of been one of their signatures of the season. Long drive, multiple plays.
We've already seen them do it in this ball game. Take the ball from inside their own 5-yard line where they had the ball at the 2. They went 98 yards, and Jay Gruden's been able to do that along with Andy Dalton, negotiate their way down the field, going 80, 90-plus yards to get the ball into the end zone.
And you know who appreciates that the most?
Defense.
Those big defensive linemen sitting over there on the sideline drinking the Gatorade.
Who have had a goal line stand already today on the 9th play. 2nd and 5, going deep, double team Green. Incomplete. McKelvin was part of the coverage back there, along with Searcy. Incomplete pass.
What I love about that play, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, watch the protection they had for Andy Dalton, but then see, this is well covered. McKelvin was in good position. See, he's getting vision back inside. Boomer, when you do that, you can make a play on the football. That's something Dick LeBeau always taught the defensive backs. Can't make a play if you can't see the ball.
Green today, 4 catches and 82 yards. 3rd down and 5. 6 defensive backs. The blitz by Searcy. Down goes Dalton. It's the first sack registered today by the Buffalo defense. The loss back to the 34. It's a loss of 10.
Oh, Mike Patton, he dialed it up. And Boomer, you said it. They needed to make something happen. They blitz Searcy. They bring Mario Williams underneath the right tackle, Andre Smith. That clears the way for Searcy to have a path to the quarterback. And they get their first sack on Andy Dalton this day.
Well, the only thing I would say there in regards to Andy Dalton, you got to get rid of the football. You don't always have to try to force it to get an completion. An incompletion's okay, just don't lose the yardage.
A timeout with a field goal coming up for the Bengals.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. Request when and where your packages are delivered with FedEx Delivery Manager. And by oneandone.com. Pre-reserve now from over 700 new domains with oneandone.com.
We're back in Buffalo. Don't miss a new episode of the hit drama Person of Interest. It's a new night and time, Tuesday at 10, 9 Central. Only on CBS. I was going to break and said that they're going to try for a field goal. Well, they called a timeout. They talked it over, and they're going to go for it on 4th and 15, needing the Buffalo 19-yard line for a first.
How about a quick kick? Why not a quick kick by Andy Dalton? They're in no man's land right now.
I'm punting the football, Boomer. It's a two-possession ball game for the Bills. You're up by 14. The defense is rolling. I'd go ahead and pin them in deeper and then turn my defense loose.
Gresham, the tight end, will be back there with Dalton. And Green Ellis. 4th down. And he's got his receiver. What a catch by Sanzenbacher. A beauty and a first down to the 11. A 23-yard gain on 4th and 15.
Wow, I stand corrected. Sanzenbacher, watch this. This kid is a poor man's Wes Welker. One hand grab in traffic, Boomer. Is that bailing out your quarterback? It was a great throw, by the way, by Andy Dalton.
Well, you know, we've been seeing the Buffalo defense play a lot of cover two. That's where those two deep safeties are real wide. That ball kind of hung up there for a while.
Yeah.
It's a great catch by Sanzenbacher, yet another wide receiver catching the football today for Andy Dalton.
Sanzenbacher's second catch of the season. 1st and 10 at the 11. To Gresham. And brought down on the play by Alonso after a gain of a yard. He squirms to the 10.
So much for going for it on 4th and 15, right?
No, I wouldn't go for it. I wouldn't mind if they punted, turn the defense loose. You know, teams have been known to make plays defensively and score touchdowns on defense. I know you quarterbacks always want the ball in your hands.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to see defensive guys make plays, but right now, right, as you look at Kiko, Alonso, they need someone to make a play on defense for Buffalo.
6-minute drive, 2nd down and 9. Pocket crumbles and down he goes. Back at about the 12. Well, they had Mario Williams right there. Flag has gone down as well. Also, Darius on a loss of 2. Back to about the 11. As they discuss the flag on a drive that has seen a 10-yard pass to Eifert, 14-yard catch and run by Sanu, and a 23-yard pass to Sanzenbacher moments ago.
Personal foul, face mask by the defense against the quarterback. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Well, this is Kyle Williams again, and you take a look at these penalties that he has committed here to start the second half. This is the second one, and you know, he's trying hard. He's trying to go after it. I mean, it was just a glancing blow like that, and
I don't think that was a face mask.
It was actually 94.
Oh, was it?
Mario Williams as he went underneath. And Kyle said it certainly wasn't me.
It didn't look like anybody was grabbing a face mask, but then again, you would say that it would be a hit to the head.
Absolutely. 1st and goal at the 6. Green Ellis is back there. That stopped in mid-motion. False start.
False start offense, number 77, 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
That's Whitworth.
So you have 2 major penalties now by the Buffalo defense to start the second half, right? You've had a 4th and 15 converted against them. You've had a young quarterback, Thad Lewis, fumble the ball here to start the second half. And you're seeing a much better team with a veteran quarterback really kind of started to assert itself now on offense.
2 tight ends, 1st and goal at the 11. And Jarvis, Green Ellis, he was wrapped up immediately as he went inside that line. He was hit by Alan Branch. It is a gain of 2 to the 9.
You know, one thing Andy Dalton does very well is he protects the ball in the red zone. Now, anybody that was at the game last week against the New England Patriots, they would argue. But he's only had 1 interception in the red zone since he's been a Cincinnati Bengal. That's pretty good numbers, and that's smart football.
And here's a guy that started, every game since he's come into the National Football League out of TCU. And so he's made a lot of good decisions as a young quarterback.
Except for that one last week.
Bernard is in, 2nd down and goal at the 9. Dalton, Eifert. Read well that time by the linebacker, Jerry Hughes. It is a gain of 3. They'll spot him at the 6. Well, Dalton in the red zone, and he's had some pretty good numbers, certainly. And 1 turnover happened last week, but look at those numbers.
It's the highest red zone touchdown interception ratio of any quarterback in the National Football League, save Aaron Rodgers. As you said, threw his first interception in the red zone last week against the Patriots.
It's the 16th play of the drive. Bernard was in. Dalton, good time. Too high. McKelvin was back there with A.J. Green. It's an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th and goal at the 6. They'll now drive for 3.
A little mix-up in the backfield between Andy Dalton and his running back. You can see the running back goes one way, Andy goes the other, but A.J. Green getting into the back of the end zone right here. You're taught to throw the ball only where he can catch it. And if he doesn't catch it, it goes out of bounds.
That's right.
And you settle for a field goal, which is not a bad situation right here.
Oh, we talked to Andy Dalton last night. He said he won't be making that same mistake again inside the red zone, throwing it late and allowing it to be intercepted.
From 24 for Nugent. And it's 27-10. The drive had the pass of 10 to Eifert. Sanu, a catch and run of 14, and a 23-yard pass to Sanzenbacher. There's a flag thrown on the play. That pass to Sansabacher came on 4th down and a ton, like 4th and 19.
Holding by the offense, number 81. It's a 10-yard penalty. They keep 4th down.
That's Alex Smith, the tight end, so they take the points off. He'll have to try it again. And now from 34. For Marvin Lewis, who we talked to last night, we were talking to him about the way that the organization, Salmon, has been hitting on free agent acquisitions, how they've had impactful rookies in draft choices over the last 4 or 5 years.
Their ability, he said, to be patient while developing players has really paid off for them. We'll give you some of the name of some of those players. They've waited for them, and these players have delivered.
Nugent from 34. And he does not get it. How about that? How about that? So the penalty was there. After a long drive, Dalton comes up empty-handed, and Doug Marrone still sees some light at the end of the tunnel, down by 2 scores. Nugent just fanned from 34. This season now, 7 of 8. And taking over, Thad Lewis at his 25 with a 1st and 10. Trying to hold back Gilberry, and they do. With Glenn, and that's a little bit too high and uncatchable for the rookie Woods.
Well, the Cincinnati Bengals defense has been on fire in this ball game, and they've been able to get to Thad Lewis 3 times, 3 sacks on the day, and then the forced fumble to create a turnover to get the ball for Andy Dalton. They've been able to corral him here in the second half, where he's not been able to become elusive and get out of the pocket. You can see their last 4 drives after the first 2. Mike Zimmer seems to have cracked the code against Thad Lewis in this Bills offense.
Into the nickel on 2nd down and 10. Quick slant. He has his receiver, T.J. Graham. Over there was Nelson. He had missed his last 5 consecutive throws. He picks up 14, 1st down to the 39.
I like the fact that they stay in the no huddle after they get a 1st down here. Try to get this kid back into some sort of rhythm. I was telling Solly that I'm not worried about the physical stamina in a game, but for a young quarterback, it's the mental stamina. Getting out there every different play, seeing a different defensive front, trying to get the right play called. And you can see right now, by evidence of this last play, that the Cincinnati Bengals defensive line especially has really started to assert itself.
Spiller on 1st and 10. Gilberry with the stop. Gain of a yard on the play to the 40.
Well, they're trying to go no huddle to try to create some kind of tempo, but this defense is relentless, Boomer. You just mentioned it. You see Gilberry slanting in to make a great play.
Gilberry's been playing great. 2nd down and 9. Off the fingertips, an incomplete of Choice, who had some room to roam. Incomplete, 3rd and 9.
You know, young quarterbacks really have a hard time dealing with it. That's why those young quarterbacks from last year, Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson and RG3, were so amazing to all of us, because they were able to do it and sustain it through the body of the season. And this young man, you know, he's in a tough spot today. He's playing against one of the best defenses in football.
9 of 17 for Lewis. 3rd down and 9 right here. Here's underneath. He finds Choice. And Choice with a 3-yard gain to the 42. That's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score 24-10. The Bengals. After this message, we come back to Buffalo. Watching the NFL on CBS. First place Cincinnati Bengals, tied there with a couple of the teams in the north on top, 24-10. Big day for the quarterback Dalton with 3 touchdown passes to 3 different receivers. Now the defense, which has played well for the Bengals today, is forced a punt coming from Buffalo. And Mormon, they just signed this week. The longtime Bill is back. Beautifully placed. And you see the juggle act there by Adam Jones. And a quote Moats with a great tackle on special teams. A 51-yard punt, and Moats down there carrying it well, the reserve linebacker.
Well, he feels it inside his own 5-yard line, doesn't get a clean catch. Now you got to get vertical. You can't get caught running backwards, and certainly can't lose ground after securing the football. So he didn't catch it cleanly and then made a poor decision after he was able to field the punt.
And how about Brian Mormon, the punter for the Bills, his first game back? And what a game he's had thus far.
But this is where the Bengals offense has excelled. They get the ball inside their own 10-yard line.
But this is where the Bills defense is now got to assert itself. They've had break after break. and now they have to make something happen.
And Jarvis Green-Ellis in the backfield. Dalton on 1st and 10. Here comes Mario Williams. Sanu and Searcy knocks him out of bounds. Nice pursuit defensively on the play with a loss of 1. Back to the 4.
All right, 5 touchdowns of 90 yards or more in terms of those drives. Most in the National Football League. They had one of that variety here today. And I just think it's the ability to manage the game by the quarterback and understanding that you can't have critical errors in this area of the football field.
I'll tell you, this is where it gets loud in this stadium. You could barely hear yourself think, let alone communicate to the people next to you, and that's why you've got to be really decisive in your decision making right here.
With all 3 tight ends in there, Dalton 2nd down and 12. Green-Ellis. One hit by Alonso, stuffing him again. A loss of a yard on the play. They're back to the 2.
Now watch Alex Smith, the tight end, number 81. He gets driven back into the face of the ball carrier, and then that causes a bubble, and then that forces Ben Jarvis Green-Ellis to go deep into his own end zone. See right there, you've got to secure that block, set the edge, so Ben Jarvis Green-Ellis will have room to run.
2 negative plays by Alex Smith. 1, the holding on the field goal that pushed them back, and then Nugent ends up missing the field goal, and right there, as you pointed out appropriately, you cannot get thrown back into your end zone.
3rd and 13. Green-Ellis, some room, and chased by defensive back Stephon Gilmore. It is a gain of 4. They'll be near the 7. They got to punt the ball. Good stand defensively by Buffalo. And even if you got one hand tied behind your back like Gilmore is today, with that club coming back, he had the pins taken out recently on what was a wrist injury. His left wrist obviously hurt in preseason.
Leotis McKelvin is a very dangerous punt returner. Got to be careful how you kick it to him. It's got to be directional. You can't hang it up in the middle of the football field and expect your coverage teams to make a play.
He's got 3 punt return touchdowns in his career, with the punt coming from Hubert. On the 47, you got a block on the play from Williams. Down about the 47-yard line, all kinds of guys down there. Craig Kirkpatrick among others, along with Pierman. 41-yard punt, 4-yard return. The Bills will have good beginning field position. Back in Buffalo, coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Dan, and special guest Bart Scott for the latest scores, news, and highlights. It's a busy day in the NFL, and all that information coming up next on the Subway postgame show from our CBS studios in New York. Kevin Harlan, Solomon Wilcots, and Boomer Esiason in Buffalo.
You see this defense taking away what the Bills want to do best, and that's run the football.
Jackson is in, not much of Spiller. We think he's been re-injured, and they go outside, and Graham, who is hit on the play by Adam Jones. It's a catch and run of 9 to the 36.
Now at the 36, plus 36, this is where offenses normally will take a shot. Boomer Esiason, and they've had some success going at Adam Jones in this situation. They just threw short. They usually like to come back with one deep, particularly on 2nd and 1.
I'll tell you, I just want the first down right now if I'm Buffalo. I just want to keep the chains moving. I just want to hold on to the football.
Jackson in, 2nd 1, batted down at the line of scrimmage. Gilberry was there, and I think Pecco, one of the two, it looked like got it. Maybe Gilberry, who has been a terrific guy signed off the street by this Bengal organization.
Oh, it gets into the throwing lane of Thad Lewis.
And you got to remember that you have this young quarterback, and you're asking him to make a lot of decisions right now, and you could have really helped them here just handing the football off and getting the first down.
On 3rd and 1, 6th time that they have faced a 3rd and 1. It's a gain of 2, and Fred Jackson down to the 35. He has the first down by a half yard.
You know, Lewis started the game 7 of 8. He's now 3 of 11. I mean, 4 of his last 11, excuse me. And, you know, you can see it's been a struggle for the young man, and we fully expected that.
Yeah.
You know, and if he catches a little bit of lightning in the bottle here, maybe he gets a guy down the sideline and hits one for a big touchdown.
On 1st and 10 for Lewis. Goodwin. Out of bounds by Reggie Nelson. The catch and run for 12 to the 23-yard line. It's another Buffalo first down.
Solly, you think about this wide receiver core right now without Stevie Johnson. You're talking about rookies, first-year players. They haven't played a lot with Thad Lewis.
No.
At all, for that matter.
But they, and talking to Doug Marrone, when they find a cornerback that they can take advantage of, that's where they'll go with the football.
Terrence Newman is out with a hip injury. Questionable return. 1st and 10 for Lewis. Chased by Dunlap. Oh, and here they come. An avalanche led by Atkins, Dunlap, and Thompson, all coming in with a hand on it. It's a sack. It's the 4th today, and they push it back to the 31.
And watch Dunlap contain the ball. Watch how he'll stay outside. He doesn't let Thad Lewis get outside. See, watch him come here. And then that's what forces Lewis to turn back inside and allow other guys to get the sack.
2nd down and 17. They need the 15. Clock that time with Kirkpatrick coming in and watching Jackson come out of the backfield. Trey Kirkpatrick, who hasn't played a little bit. He's been battling some hamstring issues. He did play last week against the Patriots, though.
That's got to be at least the 4th or 5th drop pass thus far for the Buffalo Bills. You got to help your young quarterback along. I always say this, though. The more decisions you ask your young quarterback to make, the more problems you're going to find yourself in.
I always say quarterbacks need the most help of any of the players on the football field.
Oh.
You agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%. We need our offensive line to do their job.
That's right.
We need our running backs to do their job.
There you
And every now and then, a nice catch would help.
There
too.
you go.
And a lucky bounce helps every now and then as well.
I like the way you're thinking.
Oh, yeah. But I feel bad for the kid because, it is a very good defense that he's playing against. They're going to be multiple fronts. They're going to be blitzing. They're going to be playing a lot of man coverage. And, the game has been close. And I think the game has been close because the Buffalo defense here towards the end of the 3rd quarter and beginning of the 4th quarter played a little bit better. They stiffened up.
Spiller continues to hang on the sideline. We know he came in with an ankle injury. He has found it difficult to cut. He told us that the other day. And there he is. Well, somewhere there he is. And they got Choice as well. But on this drive, it's been all Fred Jackson. Jackson comes in as the number 5 rusher in the AFC, and the 3rd all-time Buffalo rusher, back of Thurman Thomas and O.J. Simpson. 3rd and 17. Again, they need the 15. Start a timeout. Let's see what. Well, there's something. The official called the timeout. It was coming from the sideline. And there's Hockley, who got in an arm wrestling match with Boomer last night, and Boomer beat him.
The ball was correctly respotted to the 31-yard line.
Now, Kevin, that was the green hat on the sideline down there. I understand. And the green hat wanted to make sure that the ball was spotted at the right spot. There he is. That's the in-game management personnel that they call it a teal hat, but I call it the green hat, who works for the NFL.
3rd and 17. Underneath to Jackson. A little bit of room to roam. He got by one of the defensive backs, Adam Jones. And then Nelson was there. 8-yard gain to the 22.
Well, you're down 14 points here. So essentially, if you kick the field goal here and you go down 11, you still have 2 scores.
That takes us back to earlier in the game.
It does.
On 4th down, and Doug Marrone didn't take the points. Went for it on 4th down, didn't get it, and now he is in this situation where I think he has to go for it.
4th and 8, the numbers this year and today on 4th down. Jackson remains. Again, they need the 14-yard line. Lewis, he's got the tight end, Chandler. That is a Buffalo touchdown. Big time play.
Bengals defense, Mike Zimmer, they get caught. Putting Carlos Dunlap on Chandler, the defensive end. See right here. And then he's going to release. And then they were able to get beyond because you don't expect Dunlap to have to cover him one-on-one. See, he turns him loose. No help at the second level. Easy touchdown, but great read by Thad Lewis.
Chandler, his 2nd touchdown reception of the season. He's out of Iowa. He was waived by the Cowboys initially. He finds his way to Buffalo, and he came up with a huge catch right there on the 2nd career touchdown pass by quarterback Thad Lewis. Extra point is in. 7-point game in Buffalo. This has been so far a very forgettable second half for the Bills, who came out fumbling by the quarterback, 3 and out, another punt after that, and then they get a 22-yard touchdown pass moments ago.
The only thing that I ask about that last play as the ball is kicked out of the end zone is, why would you run that defense? Why would you do that?
Well, let's take a look at some of the best quarterbacks not taken in the first round of the NFL draft. How about my guy, Boomer Esiason, taken in the second round, 1984 by the Bengals.
Handsome.
That's right. Joe Montana was a third-round choice in '79 by the 49ers. And
Overrated.
Tom Brady was a sixth-round pick in 2000 by the Patriots. Don't have to get one in the first round. Drew Brees, a second-round pick in 2001 by the Chargers. That brings us to Andy Dalton, the first quarterback taken in the second round by the Bengals since our very own Boomer Esiason.
Oh, there you go.
We could have put a lot of guys in there, like Brett Favre as well. First down and 10 from the 20, Dalton. Bernard was back there. The blocking holds. No one is open. He scrambles for about 5. Good coverage by the Buffalo Bills. We'll put him at about the 25 on a gain of 5.
Well, how about Thad Lewis, not even drafted? And, you know, Mike Zimmer got a game ball last week from Marvin Lewis because he was so aggressive and he basically shut down Tom Brady.
That's
and everything
right.
else. 4th and 8 in the red zone. I got to give a lot of credit to Nathaniel Hackett. He's the offense coordinator of Buffalo Bills. Drew up the absolute perfect play to ask Carlos Dunlap to cover Scott Chandler down the field.
And Lewis never looked anywhere else. He went right for Chandler. He knew what to expect.
Wide.
Second down and 5, handoff to go. What a nice tackle right there. Gianni Bernard and Corbin Bryant out of Northwestern coming through. It's a loss of 2, back to the 23.
And you know, guys, there are times in games where momentum shifts are monumental. And right now, the Bengals are finding themselves right in the midst of one of those moments. You're on the road. You've got a great fan base here. They are loud. You've been in control of the game pretty much for the last 2 quarters, and you're finding yourself in a money spot right here on 3rd and long.
Third down and 7. Dalton with 3 touchdown passes today, out of the reach of Green. Coverage on the play by Mikel Roby. A flag has been thrown at the 32.
I think they're going to call holding on Roby.
Before the pass was thrown, holding, defense number 37, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
By a rookie free agent.
Oh, absolutely. And that's going to be costly. As you can take a look in the slot right there against A.J. Green. See the grab right there? Just trying to secure it. And Boomer, you talked about the momentum shift. I think it all began with a 34-yard missed field goal by Mike Nugent. Since then, the Bengals have had a 3 and out on offense, and then they allowed the touchdown to Chandler, and now it's a 1-possession ball game.
Buffalo, by the way, came in as the second most penalized team in the National Football League today. They've been penalized 3 times, all on the defense. 1st and 10. Bernard looking for a block from his tight end, nowhere to be found. Branch coming through, loss of 2. They'll push him back to about the 26.
You know, guys, my thinking on that 4th and 8 play that the Buffalo Bills ran is, why in the world would you try to make it easy for a quarterback who's only starting his 2nd game of his NFL career? Right? You know, you put a defensive lineman on a tight end like that and you blitz, and there's nobody in the middle of the field to help that defensive lineman out. You're asking for problems, and you're giving up an easy one.
Branch remains in there for Williams on the Buffalo defensive line. It is 2nd down and 12. Giovanni Bernard, he's hitting stuffed again, no gain on the play. A big hit by Hughes and others on that line, and they played well. Branch again had his paws on the Bengal running back.
You know, you need an alley to run the football, but watch, they knife under, but well sealed. Look at that, as he knifes right underneath to make that play was Jerry Hughes. Excellent run defense by the Bills, forcing a 3rd long and putting it on the shoulders of Andy Dalton.
They need the 38, 3rd down and 12. Here comes Williams. There goes Dalton. Drop pass. The coverage on the play by Branham. They were going for the tight end crush him. They got a punt. 4th and 12.
Got to tell you, the protection held up. It was a good throw by Dalton. I think Gresham's got to come down with that one, Boom.
100% he does. And those are the plays that extend drives. And when you drop a football like that, you give your team an opportunity to all of a sudden relive this momentum that the Buffalo Bills have, and that's exactly where it is right now.
The record-setting Kevin Huber. They're going to let this go into the palms of McKelvin, who is brought down by Marvin Jones, who has done it all today, and there was a shove at the end of the play. No yellow on the field. So now, in a quarterback making his second NFL start, 7 down to Cincinnati, middle of the fourth. The Bills have fought back from a 24-10 deficit. Cincinnati missed a 34-yard field goal. In fact, they had points on the board and they took them off.
Yeah, they had the penalty, and it would have been 27-10. They take the points off the board, and then they missed the field goal, and that's why we find ourselves in a one-possession ball game.
Spiller is in, 1st and 10. That whistles over the head of everybody with the coverage by Newman, who is back in. It was intended for T.J. Graham. 2nd down and 10.
And more importantly, Carlos Dunlap was doing actually what he gets paid to do, rush the quarterback, as opposed to cover the tight end 25 yards down the field.
Without help.
And he hits that Lewis right here, right as he's getting ready to get rid of the ball. That's what he should be doing in passing situations.
Spiller remains 2nd down and 10. Good job by Glenn, the left tackle. And they get Chris Hogan, who has a gain of 2 on the play. Mamaluga was there, the gain to the 23.
There's Cincinnati Bengals defense. They're just coming along with so many really good playmakers, and Marvin Lewis talked about it. They've been patient. They've been able to get guys to come along. Andre Smith, Michael Johnson, Ray Mamaluga, they say is playing some of the best football he's played since he's joined this football team. And Vontaze Burfict is one of those players they've been able to develop as well.
Jackson is in, 3rd and 8. Lewis has to get to the 41. Chased by Atkins and runs out of bounds. Hit about the 36. Well shy, picks up 3. They got a punt, 3 and out.
Well, this defensive series for the Cincinnati Bengals right here reminds me of the one right at the end of the first half after Andy Dalton threw the interception.
Yeah.
You know, the defense had to stem the momentum, and that's exactly what they've done right here. It was a good job by Ray Mamaluga and company.
And now look who's back to receive this punt. No Adam Jones. They want it returned and received cleanly because Mormon's been doing a well of a job for the Bills.
Mormon has had a great day since being signed off the street. He's in Pittsburgh's camp. Let go. Tate. Fair caught about the 25. On a 39-yard punt. 6:03 to play. 7-point lead for Dalton and his offense. Buffalo Bills just punted. Cincinnati has it from their 26. 1st down and 10 with Green Ellis in the backfield for quarterback Andy Dalton, who has thrown a pick. He's also thrown 3 touchdown passes today. Inside, Green. Hit on the play by McKelvin. Quick slant, picks up 9 near the 34. Next week on CBS, wrapping up doubleheader coverage. First AFC East rivals go off as Brady and the Patriots take on Geno Smith and the Jets. Flacco and the Ravens against Big Ben and the Steelers. Those are the big games along with Cleveland and Green Bay next week. It all begins with the NFL today. 12 Eastern, 11 Central. Right here on CBS. 2nd down and 1. Williams falls. Dalton runs. Incomplete pass.
Bengals only released 1 receiver on that route. It was A.J. Green. He was well defended. And Andy Dalton did a good job of just getting outside of the tackle box. Boom, you can't throw that ball away unless you're outside of the tackle box, which would have been intentional grounding. So it was real heads-up players. You look at Mike Benton. He's going to come after Andy Dalton, stack in the box. Critical 3rd down play to try to slam the door shut on the run game.
3rd down, 1. Green Ellis carving his way. Has the first hit on the play by Searcy among others. It is a gain of 2 to the 37.
And how about Jay Gruden, the offensive coordinator of the Bengals? He opens this drive with 2 passes. And, you know, the thing that I like about that is he's saying to his young quarterback, you know, this is your game.
That's right.
We can't protect you all the time, and nor should they. They should give him opportunities, and you know that the Buffalo Bills are going to be close to the line of scrimmage, trying to strip the ball from the ball carrier, so why not throw the ball, especially when you got one-on-one on the outside.
Down and 10, and Bernard works his way into the secondary. Up to the 42-yard line on the play, and he picks up 6. McKelvin was there with the stop. By the way, on 3rd and 1s today, Cincinnati 4 of 4. They've been good on 3rd and short.
They've been really good on 3rd and short, and here's where you go into your 4-minute offense. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you're going to kind of mill around in the huddle. You're going to take the down clock all the way down underneath 5, and you're going to milk the clock as much as you can.
And that's what Marvin is saying. Let's take all the time we have. You mentioned the 3rd and 1 opportunities, or 3rd and short. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis is one of the best running backs in the league at it. Got to know he gets the ball in those situations.
3 defensive backs, 2nd down, 4. Ronnie Bernard, he crosses midfield. Looked like Alonso's around his ankle right there on a gain of 3, and we'll put him at about the 46.
And remember what happened last week, kind of the same situation for the Cincinnati Bengals, and Giovanni Bernard fumbled the football. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis wants to be on the field.
He wants to be on the field, there's no doubt. Right. And we did talk to Gio Bernard about it. He says, you know, I kind of got outside myself. He said, it will not happen again. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis know that this is his role on the football team. He's the closer you want banging the rock.
They stay with 3 defensive backs, 3rd and a long 1. Bernard. Williams was there among others.
I think he's short. I don't think he got it.
Arthur Motes was sticking his nose in there.
See the spot they gave him. Looks like a favorable one, but you're right, it's going to be 4th down. And Ben Jarvis Green Ellis is saying, are you kidding me? This guy came into today's game having converted 18 of his last 20 3rd and 1 situations. That's a high ratio, tremendous batting average for a running back.
And on this little drive, they've already taken 3 minutes off the clock.
They really have, but that's a huge play right there, and I think Solomon and I are kind of alluding to the same thing as they get ready to measure here, that Ben Jarvis Green Ellis is a good teammate.
That's right.
He's a really good teammate. He knows what he does well. He moves the pile. He's that type of back.
That's his role.
And this should be his role. So, as you can see, they're short. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis is not complaining that Gio is on the field per se about Gio.
He just wants the opportunity, absolutely.
Right.
And even Gio Bernard said that he could not have come into a better situation. The football team, with you take a look at this again, with so many tremendous pros. He talked about Andy Dalton, talked about A.J. Green, but he said Ben Jarvis Green Ellis has shown him how to study, how to work, and how to be a good pro at the National Football League level.
By the way, Green Ellis today a season high 79 yards on the ground and 14 carries. His previous high 75 against Pittsburgh. McKelvin is back, and Kevin Huber to punt.
Now, they should not snap this ball until this clock gets under 5 seconds, because the game clock is running as well.
At 9, and setting up what return there may be, waving his arm. Fair catch, 13-yard line. Brandon Tate was down there defending for Cincinnati on a 41-yard punt by Kevin Huber.
We get Thad Lewis. What can he do? A one-possession ball game. They need him to make plays. It's been up and down performance so far today. We've seen him use his legs to get the ball into the end zone, put points on the board, but he has not protected it every time, has turned it over. But when he's had an opportunity on 4th down, he got the ball into the end zone, putting them in a really good situation. And as you can see, numbers against a defense that shut down Tom Brady 1 week ago, I think you've got to be happy with what you've seen from this young guy, Boone.
Into the nickel, Jackson in the backfield, 1st down and 10. Jackson, good block right there by Legursky, and almost a gain of 10. Taylor Mays brings him down in the secondary along with Michael Johnson. The spot at the 24, give him the 1st.
The other thing, too, if you're Mike Zimmer here, I don't think you really want it. You don't need to push the envelope. You want to see this kid have to hit some balls. You want to get some pass rush from your defensive line. Most important right here.
1st and 10. Grabbed by Woods, right in front of the veteran, 11-year veteran Terrence Newman. Near the 30, picks up 6 on 1st down.
And I'm not saying you play prevent defense by any stretch of the imagination. You got to change up your coverages. You got to keep him, kind of second guessing. You just don't want to sit back there and cover 2 or cover 3, those soft zones, but you certainly have to get the pressure from your defensive people right now on the line of scrimmage.
Lewis 2nd and 4, crumbling pocket, then devoured by Carlos Dunlap. Jumping on his back, The sack back to the 28th, fifth sack today by the Cincinnati D, a loss of 2.
And that's what you were talking about, Boomer. Just get pressure with your 4 down linemen. You don't have to sit in the house, don't have to blitz. Make sure that you're sound and coverage on the back end. Carlos Dunlop heard you, Boomer. He went hunting a quarterback.
2-minute warning from Buffalo. It's a Subway post-game show from New York with JB, Dan Marino, and Bart Scott for the latest news and scores in the NFL. The Subway post-game next, right here on CBS. Cleveland is losing, Baltimore losing. As Cincinnati wins, they're alone in first. Here is a 3rd and 6, caught by Jackson, who gets the first down. Aloke was right there, along with Perfect. It's a gain of 7 yards to the 35 and a first down. Perfect is down, injured at the 32 on the numbers.
Nice play by Jackson getting the first down. And the reason I was saying to you guys, you don't want to heat it up just yet for Thad Lewis. And the reason, because you're making it easy for him.
Yeah.
If you put a single high safety and you go man coverage on the outside, he knows where he's going with the football, and then you're putting your cornerbacks on an island. I think you have to force this young man to kind of read defenses, keep changing up coverages, single high safety, 7 guys in the secondary, and maybe you get a tip ball, maybe you get an inaccurate throw, maybe you get a little indecisiveness.
We just saw Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, who got the game ball for last week's defensive schemes against New England.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job, created a masterful plan that snapped Tom Brady's 52 consecutive game streak with a touchdown pass. It had began against the Bengals in 2010 and ended week 5, 2013 because of this man. Just a masterful defensive mind, Mike Zimmer. Very aggressive, very heady. I think he learned from maybe putting Carlos Dunlop in single coverage on a tight end.
There was an injury timeout. It went to Cincinnati. They are charged a timeout because it's under 2 minutes. 1 left for them. 1st and 10. Perfect is still in there. Jackson in the backfield. Tipped. Incomplete. Chandler on the wing. I don't know who came through. Maybe Atkins. We'll have to find out and see.
Right, and also remember, it's you're defending a touchdown lead, not a field goal lead. So it's going to be a little bit different. You're not going to be nearly as aggressive. And again, remember, a second-year quarterback who has not been in this situation ever. And you want to see him do a few things before you start heating it up.
If there's ever a team that could bring a 4-man rush and get home, it's the Cincinnati Bengals defense.
Michael Johnson, the one to knock it away. 2nd down and 10. Glenn, a good job at the left tackle. Look at the time. And look at the throw. Chandler brought down by Nelson. He snuck free, takes it to the 40-yard line. A 25-yard pickup and a first down for the Bills.
That 4-man rush didn't get home. They're getting a little winded. They go very deep on this defensive line for Cincinnati. You might see a shift change if they get the opportunity. If I'm the Bills, go no huddle. Keep them on the field.
1st and 10. Blitz was on from Nelson. Oh, he's got the receiver. Goodwin. Touchdown.
What a throw by the young man, Thad Lewis, as he reads the defense perfectly. We just talked about it. If you can't get home with 4, and then you decide to heat it up, and that's exactly what Mike Zimmer did. He brings Reggie Nelson off the right side of the offense, and it's an easy pickings, and it was a great throw by this young man for the touchdown pass, and that's kind of the dice that you're rolling if you're going to decide to blitz.
Goodwin's first NFL touchdown reception, the extra point for the tie. With 1:08 to play, Thad Lewis with 2 consecutive touchdown passes. Chandler for 22, and right there, 40 yards to Goodwin.
With the score being what it is, what you can't do is you can't let them throw the ball over your head. You're playing off coverage. Now get deep, turn the hips, and get running. This is man-to-man coverage. Easy read for Thad Lewis. He takes a shot to Goodwin, their most speedy receiver. We said at the top, these receivers, they're fast. They believe they can make plays on the outside against the Bengals corners, and boy, have they made one, and none bigger than this one, to Goodwin for 40 yards and a touchdown.
That is just a terrible play by Terrence Newman. He knows the blitz is coming. He knows he's one-on-one on the outside.
Get deep.
You got to get deep. You just can't let somebody run right past you like that. And I go back again to the throw by Thad Lewis. What a terrific pass, and what terrific poise by this young man to be able to do this late in the game.
Yeah, we said, let's see what Lewis can do on this drive. They go 86 yards. He goes 4 for 5 on the drive with a 40-yard touchdown strike. And now it's Andy Dalton's turn to answer.
Yeah, but I go back to the previous series by the Bengal offense not being able to convert on 3rd and 1. They had been so good in 3rd and short all day long, and they were not able to convert. So you got to give credit to the Buffalo Bill defense for keeping this game somewhat close. And then Mike Zimmer twice now has been burned on blitzes.
Now the focus goes on Andy Dalton. What's he got up his sleeve? On a bouncer from the 1, it's Tate. Punches his way in, holds onto the ball, and then is belted on the play. Got hit by a reserve linebacker, Jerry Hughes, 27-yard return. And Andy Dalton, with 1 timeout, 61 seconds in regulation, he'll have it first down and 10 at the 27-yard line.
Practice these situations every week in practice. All they need to do is get into field goal range. You don't have to force the issue downfield. You have your 1 timeout. Don't be afraid to take Giovanni Bernard out of the backfield. He's a guy that can make plays if you throw it to him, and he'll make guys miss.
First down and 10 for Dalton. Wobbly, and a great catch is made by Jones, who's had a spectacular afternoon. He picks up 19. He falls ahead to the 46.
This defense is having to pick their poison. Who do you take away? A.J. Green. Marvin Jones has come up big, and the tight ends are great too. Now they got
Bernard. Great play turned in by the rookie free agent. You see Alonso, but the first hit by Nickel Roby out of USC. It's a loss of 5, back to the 42.
And if you're going to target someone, Boomer and I were pointing at Nickel Roby. He's able to come up on this play and look at it. He'll take a look. Look at that. He sees the screen. Now watch him come up from the outside and make a play.
You know, he's a little confused on the field.
Yes, he is.
And you could see that there's miscommunication going on, and you know, they threw the ball to Bernard. He read it perfectly, just made a football play.
But if you isolate him in coverage, you can make a play against him.
And that's how Eifert had the initial completion on this series. And it's amazing how quickly 30 seconds can elapse in a football game, right?
That's right.
And here we are with 31 seconds left to go and no timeouts now for the Bengals.
There's no wind inside the stadium. Nugent, before the game, and we were tracking him, hit a 53-yard field goal going to the left. They're at the 42. They need about 23 yards to get that field goal attempt off. Second down and 15. No timeouts from their own 42. Great pressure on the play. Darius and Williams all over Dalton.
Well, the big guys are starting to heat up. They know it's a situation where you got to throw the ball. Coming inside here, coming from around the corner is Kyle Williams, nipping at the heels of Andy Dalton.
And if you're Andy Dalton right here, the whole field is basically in your sight. You don't have to worry about using the sidelines. If you can get a first down here, there's more than enough time to get up and clock the ball to stop the clock.
The Bills in the nickel, 3rd and 15. They need the 43 for a first. And Green in front of McKelvin did not get the ball out of bounds. His feet were on the chalk, and a flag has been thrown.
Right in front of the Bengals bench, so their coaches saw it as well as the officials. Now a flag is down.
Offense, number 77. The penalty is declined. Brings up 4th down.
4th down, they've elected to punt with just seconds to play, 19 to be exact.
Dare I say it? If they would have kicked the field goal in the first half as opposed to going for it on 4th and goal, it's easy to do that now after the fact. But when you think about what this Buffalo Bill team has shown here in the 4th quarter, it's pretty impressive. It really is.
They've scored touchdowns on 2 of their last 3 possessions.
Now, the interesting thing here is if they look at the video replay, this catch on A.J. Green, let's say it was a reception. Remember, there was a holding on the play on Andrew Whitworth. Well, that's close.
An important replay review going on right now by Ed Hockley on a pass intended for A.J. Green.
The ruling on the field stands as called. The pass is incomplete. It's fourth down.
Cincinnati came into today in a three-way tie for first place. But Baltimore is losing, Cleveland is losing, and the Bengals are tied. Wow.
After having a lead here in the fourth quarter, they allowed the Bills to score touchdowns on 2 of their last 3 possessions.
They led in the second half, did Cincinnati, 24-10. Solly's right, a 22-yard touchdown pass to the tight end. 40-yard touchdown pass. It's a good one, his first career. The punt to McKelvin. 12 seconds left. Bills will have 3 timeouts, and they'll mark him at the 13.
I think you got to take a knee right here. And by the way, that was a great punt by Huber because it doesn't give them a chance to return it. So that's what you want to do. You want to kick the ball out of bounds right there.
Huber had a good punt last week with about 2 minutes left at 57 yards, pinning Brady back at about his 35 in that New England win for Cincinnati.
Punters can be weapons. They can flip the field for you. We help win that field advantage. And now if you're Buffalo, you're probably going to see them take a knee.
You got to take a knee here.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll do, and that means overtime, barring catastrophe.
And that means I get to spend a little extra time with you guys.
I don't like that. Get the wings heated up.
I'll tell you what, I go back to that holding by Alex Smith on the field goal attempt by the Cincinnati Bengals. And Nugent buried that one. It would have been a 27-10 lead at that point. The holding was then enforced, and then Nugent came back and missed the next field goal attempt. And to me, that's where this game changed here in the fourth quarter.
Bengals had 27, and
That's
those
right.
3 would have been desperately needed. Of course, they would not be in overtime here. So here are the overtime rules.
1 15-minute quarter, you can see that TD or safety on the first possession will win the game.
Oh, absolutely. And if the score is tied after each team has had their first possession, then the next score will then win the game. Each team are 4 to 2 timeouts, and there are no coaches' decisions in overtime. There are booth reviews only.
See, Kevin, we can read.
I can see that.
Yes, do that very well.
You went back and forth. Wood, the center. Williams in the middle of the defensive line. Go out there, and they'll meet Dalton. And Reggie Nelson is the captain. With that hockey league.
Can't say enough about this Buffalo defense here in this, especially in the latter parts of the game here. Fourth quarter, they've been really good.
Good game so far, gentlemen. Now we'll have an overtime period. The first team to score a touchdown, or after both teams have had the ball, the first team to kick a field goal will win the game. Fourth quarter timing rules, all replays from the booth, and you each have 2 timeouts. Cincinnati, it's your choice. What's your call? Heads is the call. Heads is the call. It is heads. Cincinnati has won the toss. You wish to receive. Which direction do you want to go? Just the way we're set. Cincinnati will receive. Good luck, man.
So Andy Dalton will get possession of the ball when we come back. We go to overtime, all tied at 24.
Overtime in Buffalo. The Bengals led it 24-10-2. Second half touchdown passes by Thad Lewis, who comes off the practice squad on Monday, leapfrogs the backup rookie quarterback because the starting rookie quarterback is out. He's only started 1 other game. And here he is throwing big touchdown passes of 22 to his tight end, of 40 yards to Goodwin, another rookie on this Buffalo team. And they tie it at 24, and here we go to overtime. You heard the Bengals won the flip of the coin, and here we go. Brandon Tate will bring it out for Cincinnati with a block by Gilbert. And to the 22, 23-yard line, a 26-yard return.
That's a new breed of quarterback. I saw Thad Lewis down there doing his best bicycling.
Yeah.
I would have never done that. I'd be on the sideline getting oxygen. There he is.
Learned that at Duke.
Well, he is a runner, so you got to keep those hamstrings loose, Pete. You got to keep them loose, right, Bo? Yeah, see, it wasn't a problem of yours. You didn't have to worry about that.
On the 23, and here we go with Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis in the backfield. 1st and 10. Great crowd. Look at the time. Hauled in, A.J. Green, melted by McKelvin. Flag is thrown. It's going to be on Cincinnati.
Pass interference, offense, number 18.
Turn around.
10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
We're over here.
Yes. He knows where that cart camera is. He found it for the during regulation. Now we're in overtime.
Marvin Lewis has got to be sitting there going,
Now
what
watch
in
AJ.
the world
Look,
is going on?
Look at AJ. He never comes off. That's not even a route. See, now watch here. That's what they called right there. Just that little shove. But that wasn't a real route, Boomer. Have you ever seen anyone run around?
Well, I think he thought the ball was obviously going to the other side, but I'd always tell you, never take anything for granted. You got to go full speed on every single play.
4 defensive backs. Giovanni Bernard is in, 1st and 20. Green to the 24-yard line. McKelvin there with the stop. It's a pickup of 12.
You know, this would be a catastrophic loss for the Cincinnati Bengals since they were in control of this football game if they go on to lose it. But right here, the big players for you have now starting to make big plays for you. They need more of A.J. Green at this point. And Marvin Lewis is like, what has happened to us in the last 15 minutes?
We said it at the top. They've got to be able to carry their act on the road and win games on the road if they're going to be the kind of football team that many of us had expected them to be.
Into the nickel, 2nd down and 8. Whitworth the block. And caught by Sanu, right in front of the lunging Aaron Williams. It's a pickup of 10, and the gain to the 35.
Boomer, how long have they talked about finding a receiver opposite of A.J. Green? I think they found more than one because we've seen Marvin Jones make plays, and that catch by Sanu in very tight coverage to contest and win for his quarterback in that situation was simply phenomenal.
Well, that's his 5th catch for the evening and 44 yards total.
Dalton is over 300 yards passing today with Bernard in the backfield. 1st and 10. Blocked by Gresham, the tight end. That springs him free. Giovanni Bernard weaving through defenders to the 42-yard line. Brought down by Jerry Hughes. The electrifying Bernard, a catch and run of 23 and a 1st down.
Does this guy remind you of anyone, Boomer Esiason? Watch when he gets this ball. He doesn't concede. He's not going out of bounds. He's looking for more. Watch him cut back on the dime right here. Just elusive at the 2nd level of the defense, creating big plays where maybe there isn't any, but great blocking down the field by Mohamed Sanu and Gio Bernard. Boy, you get a lot of bang for the buck when he gets the ball in his hand.
Jermaine Gresham made a nice block as well, and I'll tell you what, you see him put 2 hands on that ball towards the end there of that run. He learned something from last week.
1st and 10, 2 tight ends. Green Ellis in the backfield. Ben Jarvis right around his leg. You've got Darius. It's a gain of 2 to the 40-yard line.
Remember, we're in overtime. This is the Bengals' first possession. They score on this possession. It's game over. So if you're the Buffalo Bills, defense need to get a stop or at least force the field goal to extend the game.
Yeah, they score a touchdown.
Yeah, they score a touchdown. Absolutely.
2nd down and 8. Six defensive backs. Uh-oh. Look out, Darius.
Well, they were going to try to run a fake screen to the left and throw the ball down the field, looked like to Marvin Jones. And this time, really good coverage down the field by the secondary of the Buffalo Bills. Nobody there for Andy Dalton to throw the ball to. Sometimes getting a little bit too cute. Try to do something and see if you could catch the Buffalo defense napping, and that was not the case.
And that's the play we were talking about. The Bills made it happen. Good coverage on the back end led to the sack by the front end of the defense.
3rd sack today, loss of 7, back to the 47, 3rd and 15. They need the 32. Bernard again. And with the beat up on the near side, they've got the linebacker, Bradham. The catch and run to the 38, picks up 9.
That was good protection there. They ran a stunt up front between Darius and Kyle Williams, and they did a wonderful job of picking it up on the left side of that Bengals offensive line between Bowling and Andrew Whitworth. Now in the punt situation, this Bills defense, remember, McKelvin is very dangerous as a punt return guy.
I doubt he even gets an opportunity to return this ball.
If they try to field goal, 56-yarder, they've opted to punt with Huber. Pierman is the protector. McKelvin, who has had 3 punt return touchdowns in his career. And fair caught at the 6. 31-yarder and well placed with 10-17 to play in overtime.
I'll tell you, Thad Lewis, 2 big touchdown passes towards the end of this game. You want to live by the blitz, you're going to end up dying by the blitz right there. That was on 4th and 8, a huge play and a huge conversion for a touchdown. And then Terrence Newman somehow just loses track of his cover and allows a long touchdown again against the blitz to tie the game.
And he's a veteran NFL player. You know, in that situation, they've got to go deep, Boom. It's the only way they claw their way back into the ball game.
We talk about structure, we talk about game planning and calling and coordination and all that other stuff. You just don't know if somebody made a mistake in those calls as well.
Spiller was in, somebody jumped, and we've got a flag.
False start offense, number 77. Half the distance to the goal. It's first down.
Now 1st and 13. As you take a look at Carpenter, there's his target line right there. Needs to get to about the 42. His career long a couple years ago, back in 2010, when he was kicking for the Miami Dolphins. Spiller. Good stop once again by Michael Johnson. Got the concussion, did not play against New England. It is a gain of 3, and they'll spot him at the 6.
And Sully, you know this is where you got to play offense with your defense. I mean, you got to be really aggressive down here. You got to hold the Buffalo Bills to give your offense great field position from a punt, hopefully.
Yeah, pitch the 3 and out. Hopefully you get the short field for your offense. And a field goal at that point on the second possession by the Bengals would win the ball game.
On 2nd and 10, Spiller. He got by one defender. Then he is put down by Dunlap on a 4-yard gain to the 11.
Michael Johnson getting the penetration on that play. Watch him. Number 93, knifing in underneath. You create penetration and everyone else swarm to the ball. Good containment. Ialoka coming up on the play. This Bengals defense, as you take a look at Mike Zimmer, you don't blitz here, do you, Boom?
No, I don't.
With 5 defensive backs, it's 3rd down and 6. Lewis, low and uncatchable for his receiver. That was Chris Hogan.
What they do there, Boomer, they forced him to figure it out. 4-man
exactly
rush,
right.
Coverage on the back end, right?
That's exactly right. And, you know, you want him to make plays. And I know it sounds like a broken record because I've been talking about it all game long. It's only his 2nd start. You know, he's been a practice squad player here for the last 5 weeks. He's well versed in the offense, but he hasn't been asked to have to do something like this, although he has performed well in the 4th quarter.
Tate has 1 punt return touchdown in his career with the Bengals back in 2011. Foreman with great hang time on the 39. Tate has a lane, has a block 2 from Smith and Kirkpatrick, and look where he takes the ball. Pearman also leading the way. A big-time return of 29 yards by Brandon Tate.
Oh, this is just an excellent play by Tate. He fielded the ball cleanly, and then watch him get going downhill. And that's the key, is that he had good fielding of the punt. It afforded him some opportunity to get back to the other side of the field. We're seeing the Bengals now. Defense being a factor and special teams lending a hand.
Well, if you're Marvin Lewis and you're watching your team here in front of you, that's exactly what you wanted from your defense. You wanted the Bills to punt from their own zone. And then also you probably take a look up at the scoreboard. You say, wait a minute, hold on. How'd Baltimore and Cleveland do today?
They lost today.
They lost.
They lost.
We better not lose this game. They need to win this football game right now. They win it. They take over first place, obviously, in the North all by themselves.
Plus, they have not won a game at all on the road this season. Their wins have come at home. They've lost on the road. And Solomon, he talked to Marvin Lewis about that very subject last night.
On the other hand, if you're the Buffalo Bills, you've got to be pleased with the fact that Thad Lewis was on the developmental squad, and he's got you in overtime, and you really need your defense to stand up and make a play, somehow create a turnover to get the ball back for Thad Lewis and the Bills offense.
Green Ellis is in the backfield after that return of 29 yards on a punt by Tate. He'll push his way up the middle, hit by Alonso, gain of 3 down to the 30-yard line. Kevin Harlan, Boomer Esiason, Solomon Wilcots. In the second half, the Bengals led it 24-10 as the Bills were starting a practice squad quarterback called up on Monday. And Thad Lewis, who is a couple years out of Duke, threw a 22-yard touchdown pass to his tight end, a 40-yard touchdown pass to his rookie wide receiver to tie the game at 24. This is the second overtime possession for Cincinnati. Second down and 7. Green Ellis. Nothing. With Kyle Williams and a whole bunch of friends making the stop on a gain of 2 to the 28.
Not a lot of imagination here for the Cincinnati Bengals offensively. And, you can see the Buffalo Bills are selling out all against the run. And usually sometimes in this situation, a running back could pop through there and get a big play. But so far in the previous 2 plays, this defensive line of the Buffalo Bills are doing their best to kind of hold back this offense of the Cincinnati Bengals and force a long field goal attempt.
If the Bengals win, they'll be alone in first place. They came in a 3-way tie in first in the North today. Third down and 5. Bernard bumping into his blocker, hit by the safety Cersei. Drags him down to the 25, picks up 3 on the play. Making it 4th down and a couple, and they'll try for 3.
Remember, Nugent has already missed a 34-yarder earlier in the ball game. He had made one before that, a penalty, took it off the board. They had 27 points, and had that field goal been upheld, if it were not for the penalty, we wouldn't find ourselves in overtime. So now he has a chance to kick the game winner here, understanding he's already missed one in the game.
And his miss came at this end of the field. The wind is negligible. It's a 43-yarder to get on the board. From 43, it is good, and the Bengals have won in Buffalo in overtime on a game-winning 43-yard field goal by 9-year veteran Mike Nugent. And Cincinnati is alone in first place in the North. Crushing defeat for the Bills, who came back after being 2 touchdowns down in the game.
I'll tell you, hits this one pure, but what it really shows you is that you just can't take anybody in this league for granted on a given week. I think all you have to do is ask the Houston Texans about that with the Rams today. Ask the Jets about that, about the 0-4 Steelers who came in today. These guys, especially here in Buffalo with Doug Marrone now as their head coach, there's a whole different mindset up here.
Yes.
You could sense that. We felt that by spending the weekend up here and talking to these coaches and these players.
This Bills team is a different one. They're on the come. They're growing up, and so is Andy Dalton. He's growing up as the Bengals get their first road win of the season, and they told us they knew it would not be easy coming into here to Orchard Park playing this Buffalo Bills football team.
So the New England Patriots fell last week to these same Bengals at home. It's their first road win for Cincinnati this year. 2 straight wins, 4-2 record, alone in first place in the North. And Thad Lewis, a great accounting of his play, and a big day, maybe the best of his young career for Marvin Jones. Dalton with 3 touchdown passes, and in overtime, Cincinnati beats Buffalo 27-24. For Boomer Esiason and Solomon Wilcox, Kevin Harlan.